Hanz is being cringe on Twitter. He's unironically doing the if you don't donate X amount of money, you aren't a socialist, and apparently renounced socialism after watching Arbitrariness versus Destiny. Was he a socialist to begin with? I never thought that he was a socialist. I thought he was just some lib. Stealing from Nintendo is always ethical. Now, this is the take that I can get behind. Let's see, what's Hanz doing? Oh, I load up Twitter and this is the first thing that's in my goddamn page. Is he still posting about this? Is he still posting about the, like, this is a mark on our friendship stuff? Oh my gosh. We'll be talking to Vaush at 6 p.m. or so. More obligations people who have a lot of money have to influence or have said influences for their political cause. I'm asking socialists, but not liberals, conservatives, to do more because I want leftists to win. We need to do more so we can win. I don't want libs and cons to do more. Wait, play the music again. Talking to Vaush? Socialism is when nice to Hasan. Who? Wait, who said this? What do you mean by do more exactly? True. Like, I don't think it's like, I don't think it's bad to ask, what do you mean by do more, right? It's really vague to say do more. Oh, he's mad at Vaush for the Arbitrariness versus Vaush debate? Who? Hanz? How many times do I have to explain this to you? You interview people involved with IRL politics and state and local federal level. Socialism is when tweeting only. You have an apartment, cringe liberal pilled, as opposed to being a Chad socialist with big house. Okay, cool, funny, hilarious. Who tweeted? Where the hell did this tweet come from? Gang Jeff Bezos just came out as a socialist. We can't be mean to him or tax him more. What the fuck is, what is he tweeting about, man? What's happening? What are you talking about, dude? Where's this come from? Who's he subtweeting here? Hasan doesn't advocate to be taxed more? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, where the hell is this shit coming from? What's he talking about? I think this is weird though. I don't know where this argument, I don't know where this argument's come from. I don't know who's he shadowboxing? Who's he subtweeting? Who's he subtweeting? Because these are all subtweets, right? Socialism is when you're nice to Hasan. This is a subtweet. Jeff Bezos came out as socialist. We can't be mean to him or tax him more or ask him to do anything for the movement because he might leave. This is also a subtweet. Who's he subtweeting here? Who said anything about this? What's happening? He's subtweeting Vaush. Is he? He's subtweeting Vaush? Really? All right, let me read a little bit more of this. This might be the best tweet ever. Okay, banger straw man. I'm neurodivergent and a minor. We got some big brain discourse going on here. If Hasan can't start a 4-person co-op with his massive resources, then co-ops really can't work. Market socialism is bullshit. All market all market socialists, including myself, should just be Socdems. What's happening? Talking about? What are you talking about, man? So what happened in this debate? I'm genuinely curious. He can start a 4-person co-op. My question is, how do you start a co-op with when it comes to you being a streamer? Like, I know this comes up a lot, but like, how the fuck do you start a co-op with you being like a streamer? How does that work? Do like the editors decide like what you cover on stream every day? Or decide when you stream and when you don't? But how's that work? How would it work with like an actress or something, or an actor? They decide like what movies you'll play in and which ones you don't. It feels really strange. How, like, I'm just genuinely curious like how this would work. You know? Even worse, Shark, chat decide. Yeah, there you go. Everyone in chat gets paid. Okay, you can start one. But why would a streamer, when you're the product essential worker, then do all the work yourself? Don't exploit anyone's labor. Who's he exploiting? Does he not pay his mod team and video producers? Isn't any business owner who employs others who don't have an ownership stake in an enterprise exploiting their labor? What do they have ownership in? What would the ownership be? What's the... What do they have? Wait, am I missing something? Where does their ownership come in? What do they own? You're not exploiting the labor of an artist that you commission? Is a fair rate and stuff? Yeah, I mean, what happens if it was something like an H3H3, you know how H3H3, when they're doing their whole show, like it's Ethan, he's like the talking head, and like Hila too, and then there's like the entire crew in the back, but the entire crew aren't just like the entire crew help not only help put everything together, but they're even parts of the show as well, and they're performing as well as Ethan, even though he may be the star. Like, they're also performing as well. They all have cameras on them, and they all contribute to like the actual like production of the show, because it's not just like you in your room with a camera. They have like an actual studio where all of them are, and they all have to be there, and they all have to contribute, you know? Yeah, he does pay his editors, he does pay his mods, he does do canvassing. This is the thing where I'm just worried. I'm wondering, like, what more do you want? Like, what specifically do you want? I'm not against asking for Hasan to do more. Hasan does a lot of money. Hasan does a lot of money. There's nothing wrong with asking him to do more, but what does do more mean? Yeah, only the means of streaming. Maybe they own you as a person, but there's no product without Hasan. A worker of the co-op would never work. Yeah, my thing is like, how does that work? Do they literally own him? Do they own Hasan? Do they get to say when he gets to wake up and he gets to stream? I don't know. That seems weird, right? Because if it's a co-op, then they get to vote. Do the editors and the mods get to decide whether he's streaming today? That shit's wild, man. That'd be wacky. I'm not sure how that would work. I think these guys do about the best that they can, where they give like 40 or like even 50 or maybe even more % of what the YouTube makes to their editors, and then the editors get complete control over the videos that they make, right? That seems like about as like cooperative as this job works. And it seems like it works out quite well, actually. They have a lot of freedom to do what they want. Who's asking for him to do a large donation stream every year? Yeah, more, maybe even 2. Oh, this is just weird. Anyways, who's he exploiting? Does he not pay his team? Blah, blah, blah. It's too broad of a definition, but I'm not a socialist. Neither am I. What the fuck is this? What's happening? It's two like non-socialists like arguing at each other. What the hell is happening right now? I hate my life. I never should have done politics. Worst decision I've ever made. I guess I don't know enough about that. I'm gonna find the nearest sewer, my man, because I gotta slide into it. Fuck, I'm a Socdem. After tonight, at least Socdems push towards socialism. Socialists apparently find reasons not to push for anything. Socdems don't push for socialism. What are you talking about? Socdems don't. What are you talking about? Socdems don't push for socialism. They're also capitalists. What are you talking about? What do you mean? Socdems are not anti-capitalists. Socdems are explicitly not anti-capitalist. They are capitalists still. They still want a capitalist society, but with a lot of social safety nets. Hasan is a socialist. Socdems don't push for socialism. More social safety nets is not socialism. I don't get why it should only be socialist. Why shouldn't Socdems and liberals do more for their movement? I think he perceives Socdems and liberals doing more for their movement than socialists do or something. Cool that you're a Socdem, I guess, but I guess this reasoning for becoming one makes absolutely no sense. If all you're saying is that you like Socdems more because they're helpful in achieving your socialist goals, then that would make sense. Buddy, I like welfare states, co-ops, and social welfare funds. My views haven't changed. What am I reading right now? What the hell is happening? What's going on right now? Am I losing my mind? Am I stupid? Am I the stupid one here? How do you change from socialist to non-social? How do you change from socialist to capitalist, but your views don't change? What? What is happening? They're too complete. It's... The mode of production changes completely in the two different systems. You can't sit here and be like, my views haven't changed, but I'm changing from socialist to capitalist. What are you talking about, man? What's happening? I'm not a socialist anymore because a rich streamer didn't make a co-op. That is true. That is true. Many people are saying this. I don't see a reason to tie myself to a movement that insists on not doing any standards and asking its powerful members to do anything. What the fuck is happening? I'm losing my goddamn mind. Son, your support for a movement ideology shouldn't be dependent on some people in the community. True. What's happening, man? Okay, I guess I got confused because socialist generally includes giving workers ownership of the means of production. If you're saying that none of your policies have changed, then it's pretty weird for you to make the statement that you're no longer a socialist. Finally, oh my gosh, someone in here. I'm starting to get a little something. Okay, finally, I feel there's a spark of life somewhere. Next time you subtweet, just at me, bro. You was subtweeting Vaush the entire night. What's happening? I'm losing my mind. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. If Solaris can't start a 4-person co-op with his massive resources, then co-ops really can't work. So true, bestie. To clarify for those confused by earlier tweets, my policies haven't changed, just my strategy for who I consider useful. Fuck politics. You know what? This is over. I'm deleting my channel. I'm deleting every single political video on my channel, and we're going to just be a gaming normie channel. We're just gonna do commentary style videos now. All right, sorry, it's over. It's over. I've decided that it's over. I want no more of this. This is only giving me pain and suffering. Nothing I do is performative.
Nothing I do is performative.
So like, what happened? Socialism is when also banger of a game. All right, let's just pump this one out. They care more about perceived moral consistency. They're a little weird. They're little weird boys, you know?
Yo.
Howdy.
How's it going? I see you playing Diablo.
Yeah, it's going pretty good in large part because I am playing Diablo.
Nice. Nice. All right, is your chat informed on more or less what we're going to be talking about today? Or should I
not really. You should inform them.
Okay, so I reached out because I wanted to have a discussion about the type of political advocacy we could expect for individuals who have a large political platform on like things like Twitch and things like this. This discourse was primarily spawned as a result of, you know, the controversy with Hasan and like what do we expect people to do when they have large political platforms on,
is this Hasan?
Like,
this is Arbitrariness, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wanted to have a conversation in regards to this and get your opinion on where exactly you stand on this.
Sure.
I don't.
Yeah. Hit me up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't want to hyper focus on Hasan specifically because this isn't meant to specifically target him, but more target like what do we do when we have an excess of resources while we do this, and what does it even mean to have an excess of resources? How much resources is an excess, and so on and so forth, right? But I might use him or reference him often just that way everybody can more or less be on the same page, because I imagine most of your audience and most people know who he is and probably know how much money he makes considering all the controversy and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
Gotcha. Works for me. Oh, you should introduce yourself, by the way. Did you actually share your name?
Oh, I don't think I did, no. I'm Ahrelavent, all right? The actual word irrelevant was taken, and I like it, so it's pronounced exactly like the word irrelevant, like somebody is a nobody. And yeah, I'm a Socdem political streamer, primarily like a React Andy. Yeah, so yeah, and I watch a lot of your content, watch a lot of Hasan's content, watch a lot of Destiny's content, and stuff like that, so that's pretty much what I am. I'm like a VOD watcher, so.
Fair. It's all part of the Twitch ecosystem. It needs to become fair and balanced. Yeah, ask me whatever you like. Of course, my opinion on the Hasan House stuff, I think, is largely a matter of public record. But if you want to go back over the basics, I'm happy to cover it.
Right. So I just kind of wanted greater clarification on some of these ideas, because I think there's a lot of missing each other's points when it comes to this stuff. So like, I think there's a lot of people that might think that some people's opinion who might be advocating that we do more with the resources we have are saying like socialism is win no house or socialism is win poor. And I feel like this is kind of we're missing each other. Well, yeah. Okay. So I at least want to come from a position of like, I think that we could be doing more when we have an excess of resources. And I think we ought to be doing more in order to further political causes, in order to bettering, our community and stuff like that. And to my knowledge, you are of the position that this is more of a for all the dank memes that might get posted, a supererogatory position more than anything. Like, it would be nice for us to do this, but we have no moral obligation to go out of our way to do like a lot of, like, let's say, funding of canvassing or what have you, if we're a political streamer or what have you, and we have excess resources, correct? Or
yeah. Well, I think it's good if we do it, of course. It seems odd to me, the idea, whether we're talking about ideology or access, to reshift our moral framework for what a person should be expected to do, not just like in accordance with what they could do, but also like how we treat that conversationally. Or to put it another way, if a person is a, I guess we have to use this as an example, but if a person like makes their living advocating for socialist shit on social media, and keeps doing it over and over and gets really successful doing it, makes a lot more money, at what point do they switch from being a positive representation for the movement because of what they're advocating for to being a negative one because they spend too much of their money on houses or whatever? I think there's a really ambiguous gradient there, and the best thing that we can really do is we can just encourage people to do as much as possible with the resources they have, but that's not really what the discourse is about, right? It's about moral condemnation, which is where I think my main issue comes out.
Right. So if we're talking about like moral condemnation, and like, I think that when we're talking about holding people to a certain standard, and where exactly we're talking about like moral obligations and what people ought to, be like doing with their resources and what have you, and whether or not I can condemn somebody for having excess and not spending that excess, or using that excess, whether it be capital itself, or money itself, or influence, I think we could look at either one. So maybe I could be more amicable to any idea when it comes down to money or what have you, and we could start from a position of influence and then work our way to money, and see how we get there. So when I'm looking at things,
do you mind if I try something a little different with this conversation?
Go for it.
So the central concern here is about hypocrisy, right? So
not necessarily for me, at least.
Okay, then not necessarily hypocrisy, but I think are you a socialist?
No, I'm not. I'm a Socdem.
So as somebody who would consider himself a socialist, it seems like the person who should be mad first and foremost, like here, is probably myself, right? So I guess I'd have to ask you, why should I be upset? Because people, I've seen this from everyone, like, Destiny Ben Shapiro or whatever, where they're like, I don't care about people making a lot of money and buying big houses, but socialists would. And I'm sitting there as a socialist saying, well, I'm not. So should I be offended? Like, make the argument for me to be offended,
Right. So
why should I be offended?
It comes down to, if somebody has, at least, I don't know, I don't really view it as an offense thing. It's more of if people are able to accumulate potentially infinite resources from perpetuating an idea that they stand for a political cause, and I don't even think this has to do exclusively with socialism, but like perpetuate the idea that they stand for a political cause, at what point can I say that, like, talk is cheap? When does the talk become the walk? Or is there no such, or is the talk the walk in and of itself, right? Like,
well, that's my question to you, right? Well, the talk is the walk when it comes to like being a political pundit, right? Like Tucker Carlson isn't dangerous because part of his money goes to like promoting Republican candidates. He's dangerous because he has a platform that tens of millions of people listen to. So, I mean, talking is walking when we're talking about political advocacy, because advocacy is largely a vocal process. But when it comes to like, at what point can you expect to do more? I think there is a good question there. A lot of leftists, for example, are upset with leftists in electoral systems who take up space. That's one of the central criticisms of the Democratic Party. The fact that they're better than the Republicans, sure, but they take up space. They become the left opposition party, meaning that you're removing sort of cultural, social, and political space for a genuinely left-leaning party. I think there's some legitimacy to that argument. So you have to talk about what you're losing, what's being taken away. And in the case of Hasan, we aren't really losing anything. There's not a what would you call it? Much of a cost to benefit analysis. The larger he gets, the more he speaks, the more people listen to him, the happier I get. It's very nice to see that the largest streamer who talks politics in the Western world is a socialist, even if I hate him and want to be larger.
It is a good meme.
So sure, right. So that's my perspective when I look at this stuff. Now, by the way, I do think that Hasan should be doing more with this. I think that at his size, he could be doing unfathomable good with fundraising and stuff like that, But it's about how you approach it. If your approach is like, socialist, hypocrite, big house, socialism is win no house, yada yada, we're not really facilitating any positive changes within the movement. We're just looking for an excuse to attack a socialist we don't like. And Lord knows I see plenty of that in this discourse. But if you want to be affirmative, positive, reaffirming, you're doing good, but you could do better. That's an attitude I like.
Okay, so I guess then, what is a moral obligation that you would set for somebody like Hasan? Like, is there any moral obligations that he has to hold up to at all?
I mean, I guess I'd like it if he didn't murder or rape people. How fundamental do you want me to start here?
Right. I guess as a political pundit of socialism, or I guess we can do it left, of being on the left at all. Like, what moral obligations do I have as a political pundit on the left? Do I have none whatsoever?
Well, in a purely utilitarian sense, my only real answer is that I always want him to contribute like a net positive utility to political discourse, right? Which I feel he does through his size. I don't agree with all of his takes, mind you. I don't think that he's always educated on the stuff that he speaks about. But as a net, if we were to choose sort of the archetypical frat boy politics news pundit, I would certainly rather him be Hasan than some, edgy centrist or even like a progressive liberal like Philip DeFranco.
Right. And so I'm just wondering, I guess, from my perspective, I don't know why we would set the bar so low, and is where I'm at. I feel like that bar is set really, really low, and we do ourselves a disservice by setting it so low. I feel like asking for very simple things like once a year doing a fundraiser that you don't even have to. Sure, but as a moral obligation.
What do you do if he doesn't meet that obligation?
I would say that you ought to do that, and that is just bad for you to not do it.
Well, Sure, but I mean that's utilitarianism 101, right? Like, do good
Okay.
things, don't do bad things. But what should we do, like socially? What should the social consequences be to not doing that? Let's
Condemn
you
them,
have
say that it is a bad thing to do.
sure, to not do that fundraiser thing.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I mean, in terms of like the distinction between doing a bad thing and not doing a good thing, it can be kind of fuzzy, right? Like it's a bad thing to not save a drowning child.
Sure.
It's a good thing to do it. So the absence of a good action sometimes can be considered in and of itself a bad action.
Right. And so, yeah, allow me to be a little bit more specific when I'm using the word morally, a moral obligation, right? So like I'm using what I've at least picked up as your kind of position on a moral obligation versus a supererogatory thing, right? Supererogatory being like you're going out of your way, you're doing something good that like you have no obligation to do. Nobody was expecting it of you, but you went above and beyond. Congratulations, thumbs up, right?
Yep.
And what I consider to be a moral obligation is what you need to do before you are committing an action that is bad. You need to do this, otherwise you are doing something bad, right?
Yeah.
That's the way that I consider it.
I guess the more that I think about it, you know, when I tried to start out with this stuff, I was told that utilitarians don't actually have a way of distinguishing between supererogatory and obligatory behavior. That when you get right down to it, you can make as many overarching or like, superseding systems as you want, but a utilitarian will never actually have a definitive answer for questions like that. It's just try to do good things and try not to do bad things. All questions as to what's obligatory or supererogatory are kind of relative, right? Is it obligatory that you give money to charity? Well, probably not many people would say that. It's
Sure.
supererogatory. But what if you make billions? At what dollar amount exactly does that distinction arise when it becomes necessary as opposed to it being simply a thing you can do that is good? In
Well,
the absence
yeah.
of a definitive answer, all I can really say is that I think that we should, as a general rule, encourage people to do good when they can and discourage people from doing bad when they can.
Well, I don't think that it's like something that there may, just because there is gray area, that doesn't mean that we have to make an appeal to that gray area being so absolute that we throw out the entire concept of a morally obligatory action.
What do we
So I
get-
think
What do we get from the moral obligatory language relative to what I'm using? Because I'm agreeing with you. We should encourage him to change his behavior on that. And in terms of affecting a better outcome, that's the best you're going to get. What I'm suggesting is the most effective way of ameliorating the problem you're describing, is it not?
I would disagree. I would think, in effect, that what you have is the reason why I use morally obligatory is because I can condemn somebody for not participating in an action that I consider to be morally obligatory. That's really the difference. Saying that, like, oh, well, you're doing what you need to do, which is just, say whatever we consider to be, propagating socialism to a, thumbs up degree, right? And I don't want to hard stick on socialism. This applies to all different political ideologies, right? You're promoting that ideology. However, right, like you taking in you're promoting the ideology of socialism, but socialism in and of itself doesn't say that you have to like go above and beyond and do all this charity stuff, but like we can hold them to that standard through a moral obligation, so that way we can condemn them when they do not meet it, because otherwise I'm just saying, hey, you know what, it'd be nice if you did all of this stuff, but you're not wrong for not doing any of it.
Well, why would a socialist want to do that?
Well, because moral condemnation is something that should be taken seriously. Generally speaking, it is.
But all the people engaging in this behavior, the people attacking Hasan for this, that, and the other, they're not socialists. Overwhelmingly, it's conservatives and liberals doing this, which suggests to me that the attitude you're advocating for here is not actually in the best interest of our movement. It sounds like it's in the best interest of our movement because you're encouraging things like consistency, good optics, self-checking, but in reality, it just seems like a thinly veiled effort at attacking people that you don't like on the left. You say it's not about hypocrisy, but do we have these conversations about non-socialists? I mean, there are tons of wealthy celebrities out there who have pet social projects that they don't donate millions and millions of dollars to, and at most, that's a passing fixation. It's something we say, oh, maybe they could do that then. But with Hasan, this is a critical moral failing that has to be the subject of months of discourse. You see?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I don't think many people feel the same way about other people. It does kind of feel like a cudgel. I will say that. It does feel like a cudgel, absolutely. That being said, I don't know. I feel like I'm more on the side of like, I'm not sure if I want to call it as far as like a moral condemnation, but I do really think that you absolutely should do things like donate, use those resources. It would be a really good thing if you did that. I'm not sure if I go as far to say as you are a moral failure as a socialist or whatever, for not though. I'm not sure if I would necessarily say that, because in and of him existing is also extremely beneficial. I really like the point when it comes to Tucker Carlson. Like, he is not necessarily dangerous because he donates a bunch of money. The Koch brothers are dangerous because they donate a lot of money, but they're very quiet. Or the Koch brother, the other one, kicked the bucket. But Tucker Carlson is very dangerous because of his platform. And that's a lot. Now, he could be doing more. He could be going out to protest or whatever. He could be like donating more money, and he might be. Right, but yeah, I'm not sure. It feels like a lot. And now I feel like a lot of other people would be like, it's not. I know Destiny uses this point a lot, where it's like it just doesn't feel right when your political advocacy begins and ends with you like making money. What if it didn't make money though? What if it was something that actually didn't make money at the end of the day? Right? would you still feel the same way? I'm just genuinely curious.
Yeah,
Okay.
so allow me to ameliorate that. I think it's because in a lot of instances, unironically, there's a lot of people who I would actually point to as models for going above and beyond that exist outside of, this specifically, I guess, Hasan. I really don't want to attack him specifically, but like even you, I would agree.
Take care.
Go above and beyond in certain areas where I don't believe that this moral condemnation would apply to you.
Oh, if they don't donate, you'll give them shit. I do really believe in you. I remember this saying from this pastor. I didn't go to his church, but someone told me what their pastor said, and I thought it was really interesting. They said, don't when the Lord blesses you with money, don't raise your standard of living until you raise your standard of giving. And so I do really I do believe in that, and I think it's fine to like give them shit, I guess, but hopefully I wouldn't want to do this. But also I don't know. I'm not sure if I'd go as far to say it's like a moral condemnation to not donate. You know what I mean? But I guess maybe I'm viewing it in the sense that he's already doing work. I guess some people don't view it as he's already doing work, or that work is not sufficient. There's like two things, right? It's like, is the work he does without donating already sufficient, or is it or is it not sufficient for a certain movement, right? Is it sufficient or is it not sufficient? Because I feel like when you guys go into the world and you and you like change a single person's mind, I think more likely than not that that one person whose mind you change goes further than many of any of the dollars that you could have possibly given to like make the world a better place a lot of the time. That being said, some people view it as just a part of what you do, and it's not sufficient to have that ideology, and you must have more work to do to be a part of that ideology, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with setting like it. Would you think that's like the good example, or the example that should always be that should always be met? At the same time, I'm not sure if I'd say it's if it's specifically what is it supplemental, or is it sufficient,
or consistent fundraising, at least your outspoken desire to participate in direct action, and what I wouldn't, right? Yeah, so I wouldn't apply this criticism to you. However, I think we can hold other people to a higher standard, and this discourse has been spawned off of like, again, Hasan, and so I think we can hold him to a higher standard, like even just a standard of again doing maybe one fundraiser a year, right, or what have you. And I think we ought to push that kind of a standard over and over again. But to address your point specifically about non-socialist people targeting socialist people for this, I don't disagree. There's a lot of people that throw shit at socialists just because they think like socialist means you have no money. But I also think that there are people that think like me on this, where it's like, damn, it really kind of sucks that we don't really see, fundraising. We don't see canvassing. We don't see many of these things coming from specific people that talk about politics. And that ought change. We ought to hold people to a higher standard who are promoting these ideas and things like that. We ought to hold them to a higher standard, because if people like Hasan aren't going to go out of their way and support canvassing, who is, right? Who are we expecting to fund canvassing, to get people politically motivated, to get people politically involved, if not people like Hasan? Who else are we expecting to do? Like,
well, I guess, like, to me, ultimately, this does still reside on an attack on hypocrisy, which just doesn't register that much in my framework. When it comes to, like, well, who should be doing these good things? The answer to me is all of us, all the time. When it comes to, like, I don't think that a socialist should be doing advocacy for the working class any more than the filthiest capitalist pig. I think that all of us should be doing it. I don't necessarily know if there's some...
Well, is literally all he does React Andy content? While making thousands of dollars a day? Is that literally just all he does? I feel like it's a little dismissive to say he just does React Andy. See, I don't know. I just think it's really dismissive to be like, he just does React Andy content. There's no sacrifice that went into that. He just watches videos and then he yells over them and that's it. Like, you could say that, I guess, but I haven't watched Hasan's stream in particular, but I've been watching him on the H3 podcast, and he's actually doing some pretty decent work. I'm not going to lie. And even though that work that he does there does make him money, and I do think that he should be also supplementing that with some other work that doesn't necessarily, not because like you should do things that don't make you money, but more of the sense that a lot of the things that you should be doing don't make you money type thing, How long ago did Hasan buy that house? It's been a couple months, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and Hasan has canvassed. Now, Hasan does say that he donates money. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't put any weight behind someone who says they donate money without seeing any like receipts, okay? I'm sorry. I just may be cringe pilled or something, but if you're like, yeah, I donate money, especially when you're criticized about like whether you donate money, I'm just like, I mean, it's good to say that you do, but like, do you though? And I don't know, it's just like, I saw someone say it seems like really what is it? It seems like really convenient that he donates like an unspecified amount of money to an unspecified place at an unspecified time without telling anybody at any point in time ever, you know? And I have to say, it is pretty convenient for that, because you could make it because Hasan giving money could mean that when he goes to Walmart, he like rounds his dollar up when he goes to buy groceries. And then it gives that to like kids with leukemia, or he donates like $50,000 a month to like some charity. And I just think there's like way too much of a disparity between those two things to be like, oh yeah, he totally donates money without seeing any receipts for that. That's just me personally. Has he shown receipts? If he's shown once again, I don't watch Hasan. I haven't seen any receipts. I can 100% imagine that he has shown receipts and then people just don't care and they say it anyways. I can 100% believe that. At the same time, I just haven't seen the receipts, so I can't tell you. Wait, there's more Vaush drama? Yeah, there's a little bit. There's a little bit of Vaush drama going on. So I can't tell you whether or not he actually does. I'm just saying, like, I can only speak from what I've seen and what I think. And since I haven't seen it, I don't know what to say about it. If he does, that's good. If he doesn't, I don't put much weight behind it. That's all I'm saying. But if he does, that's great. That's amazing. I'm happy he does. What is this? We give it a lookie? We give it a look? I forgot I have Mouthy Infidel blocked. We block each other. The thing is, I blocked Mouthy Infidel a really long time ago, and I guess he learned that I blocked him, so he blocked me back, which was really cute. It's really funny. But no, I blocked Mouthy Infidel a long time ago because he was posting like some giga cringe. I forget when it was, but he was posting some like absolute cringe shit. He was like DGG melt brain melt. Mutual blocks. Oh no, I block a lot of people. So I don't care. Mouthy Infidel has never said anything that I've cared about hearing from him, so I don't really care that he blocked me. There's a reason why I blocked him in the first place. Couples goals. Yeah, we're all pretty cute together, huh? Smite Knight, thank you so much for the gifted sub to Lavender Gunner. I really appreciate you for joining the frenzy and being incredibly pog. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Anyways, I do donate, some public, most not. However, this is a fucking brain dead take that keeps dumbass thinking that Bill Gates is good, by the way. It is kind of true, that this is a way that like you can launder your image. And let's take a look. Let's see what Mouthy Infidel even fucking said. If you're rich, it is in fact immoral to not donate a significant amount of your money to charity. I'm not sure if I'd say immoral, but you should do it. And specifically charity, I don't know how. I think I would say if you have a significant amount of money, it's immoral not to use your money in a good fashion, in a way that helps the world. But that doesn't always come to donating to charity, right? Over the past few days, I've had hundreds of thousands of different people watch and cover the protests. A lot of right-wingers have given me money to say dumb shit and defended police brutality. So I decided to use their money to bail out people protesting all around the country. What he donate? Donated $1,000. Pog. Another $1,000. And another $1,000. And another $1,000. So like $4,000. I mean, that's nice. $500K a stream? Wait, calm down. My man does not make 500K a stream. He does not make 500K a stream. I do think that just at like $4,000 should probably do more. Should be doing more. Makes 200K. He does. Is it? No, it's like a month. He said a stream. I think he makes 200K like a month, right? Asana's Hausanabi is back. A minute? You're right. He makes $200,000 every 10 seconds. It's pretty fucking crazy the amount of money you can get as a streamer. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like this is worthy of like a huge conversation. I think everyone says that Hasan should be donating more, you know? I think Hasan should be doing more. Like, I mean, I talk about this like every time. I think Hasan should be absolutely donating more. He should be going to more, he should be doing more protests. It's, I don't know. Does anybody disagree with that? I guess the main difference is like how fervently people say that they believe it or something. This is your first Zelda? Yeah, this is my first time playing as Zelda. I'm really excited to play as Link sometime. We've just been playing as Zelda this entire time. The legend so far that we're building with Zelda is pretty sick, but I can't wait to find Link. People talk about him all the time. I feel like Cenk Uygur deserves more criticism for union busting. Cenk deserves a lot more criticism, okay? Cenk absolutely does. High Twitch payout from subs and bits. It was like 200K for September. Yeah. Yeah, he absolutely should be donating more. That being said, once again, he says that he donates money privately, but I'm not sure what that money comes out to. So I can't factor that in. I'm not going to factor in something someone says that they do without seeing any like receipts for it, like at all. You know what I mean? Like love Hasan, you know, many kisses, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he does all of this work, he donates all of this money when I've only seen 4K. Okay. So that's just me. At the same time, once again, I don't really share like the hard hitting criticism of him that like a lot of other people do. And a lot of it feels like a little performative. You know what I mean? And nothing I do is performative. Remember that.
Oh, is this a fucking Mal rune? Holy shit. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't even notice that. That's good. I didn't even, to me, the idea that, like, people should be held to a higher standard if they actually advocate for these positions, in theory, it's good. You know, it's conceptually valid, and I think there's some, you know, some worth to it. I wouldn't deny that. But in practice, it just seems like, you know, the ability to attack people who you disagree with, which is why these criticisms are all coming from not the left. Like, we don't do this with capitalists, right? Like, if we were like, you know,
I do.
Like, this capitalist,
just to be clear.
Well, I don't think you do, because with like first of all, basically every single political pundit in existence sits on their wealth and doesn't contribute a huge amount to like public causes, and a lot of their wealth is made, you know, through more ill gain than what Hasan does. I mean, the wealth that he gets is done about as, I guess, not perfectly, but about as ethically as you can really accrue money in the system. So it would seem like we'd be doing this all the time. You know, Anderson Cooper, you know, Rachel Maddow, you're all in the chopping block. But again, that doesn't happen. It happens with Hasan.
He doesn't take sponsorships or other ad deals or do basically any other work besides stream all day. I'm basically willing to turn around 100K a month. Yeah, I'm just not sure how much he donates. I don't know. I feel like if he got like an accountant and he set aside like 10% of what he makes like every month to charity, I think that would be great. I think that would be, honestly, maybe even like 10%. I think that'd be pretty sufficient. I'm not going to lie, because 10% of like what he makes every month is a lot of money. At the end of the day, right? That's a chunk of change right there. That being said, I don't know what his finances are looking like, and he did just buy a house, so I don't know. That'd be like 20K a month to charity. Yeah, like once again, I forget how much exactly tithe is at church, but I think it's around 10% as well. So I'm just like holding. So that would be like holding him to the same standards that I do my fellow churchgoers. You know what I mean? His house isn't even fully paid. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be like, soon we'll have Shark House Twitter drama. I don't want to have. Now, here's the thing. Like, if I make it to anywhere near Hasan's levels of money, there are lots of people in my family who could use the money more than I can. So my one really big thing that I was thinking of, and you can say this or whatever, but one really big thing that I was thinking of, if I was ever able to get to that level of like wealth, is I really wanted to put together a fund for a lot of my family members, especially a lot of my baby cousins, to help them go to college. Like if I could put away like 100K or more for like a lot of my like littler family members to help them like go to college, I think that'd be really good. So that's one thing I want to do. Then help some of my other like family members who are like struggling with like housing or something, help them like get a permanent home to be in. I think that's like the first things I would do if I came up on like 200K a month, you know, just month over month. Cause there's nothing I can really think about that I would want to spend that much money on. Like, I don't know. Like, I really just don't have that much I want to spend that much money on. Like, I want to buy an e-bike, and that's cool. I think I'd commission some more art. I'd buy some more art from some artists. I don't have a car right now, so I'd buy a car. I don't know. I'd get like an apartment, I guess. And I don't know. I think that's all that I can think of. So I think I'd like, once again, don't raise your standard of living until you raise your standard of giving. So one e-bussy? Yeah, I do want the e-bussy. It does sound pretty nice. Okay.
Hasan, because he's a socialist. And if this was genuinely not about hypocrisy, the fact that he's a socialist wouldn't even be a part of the argument being made here. But it is every time.
I can disagree with that, and I think I can synthesize why it is also, like, him being a socialist is also relevant. But to touch on your previous point about, like, Rachel Maddow and all that stuff, the part of the reason why I talk about specifically Twitch streamers in regards to this, and to some degree some YouTubers, is because that's the people that I have the most access to, the most connection with, the people whose communities I run in the most, the people who I can affect to some degree. I could agree that most political pundits should do these things. Most political pundits should do.
I agree that they should, but there's a difference between should doing something and morally condemning a person who doesn't. So if you were in mainstream media, like if you had, if you were like a New York Times, like a, you know, columnist or something, can you honestly tell me that you would be dedicating any significant portion of time to like writing out the dozens and hundreds of major political pundits who have a higher net worth than Hasan, and saying that, you know, if this person was really believed in higher taxes, then they wouldn't list this as a business deduction? Hold on. It's rhetorical. The answer is no. You wouldn't. Nobody would. There's something particular about socialism and about Hasan and about this discourse on Twitch that is facilitating a thoroughly unproductive conversation.
So no, the answer to it is I wouldn't do that, but not for those specific reasons. I wouldn't do that because, again, well, like, let's assume that I am the columnist or what have you, right? And I do have access to be able to do these things. I mean, I feel like I absolutely, at least maybe, I mean, I guess you could just call bullshit. I absolutely would call into question people's like resources and what they can put towards X, Y, and Z goal. I have no reason to. I mean, I guess you don't have to believe me on that one, but part of the reason why I don't criticize as much, like maybe the discourse isn't centered as much around other capitalist streamers or what have you, is because I actually think often Twitch streamer or YouTube streamer socialists are kind of following or trying to like catch up with other capitalist streamers. And this is something that wildly amazes me in regards to paying editors and what have you. The fact that it took so long to get a rev share model from Hasan in a similar capacity that Destiny's had for years.
Why not criticize him for that? I think that's a perfectly salient thing too.
And I have. And I think that these are salient criticisms myself. The fact that, like, I still don't think Hasan's mods are being paid, which I see no reason why they wouldn't be, right? In comparison to, like, Co-Carnage, right? Who, to my knowledge, stopped taking donations and now has his donation link route directly to his mod team.
Well,
like,
okay.
Why is...
So what you're describing right now has nothing to do with socialism. It has to do with...
I disagree.
No, I fully agree. Socialism is about a broader social model which reorients the relationship between the workers and the means of production. Modding is considered volunteer work in pretty much every online community. To pay your mods is a wonderful thing. However, don't you think this comes off as a little bit toothless and spite-oriented? Where it's like, well, here's another person who pays their mods. Hasan doesn't. How can you say to me this isn't about hypocrisy when you're very clear?
Doesn't Hasan pay his mods? Doesn't Hasan pay his mods and his Well, for one, doesn't his mod team get, my bad, not mod team, doesn't his editing team, don't they get like 40% of like whatever the YouTube makes? Isn't that true? He does? Yeah, I don't know. This feels... Also, like, hasn't Destiny been streaming for like 10 years? Like, I feel like, I don't know, like, I feel like Destiny has had a really long time to get a lot of this stuff down. And like, Co-Carnage, Destiny, these names have been around for like 10 years plus in the streaming game. It takes, I don't know, man, to like hold someone like Hasan who literally just, I mean, how long has he been doing this? Like 2 years, 3 years or something? How long did it take Carnage? How long did it take Destiny to pay his editors in the same exact way that Hasan has? I don't know. Hasan started in 2019. Yeah, I mean, that's really quick. He got up to speed really quick, you know? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, we can criticize him and everything. I'm just saying, like, starting out in this game, there are a lot of hiccups, okay? I'm nowhere near as like big as Hasan, but I definitely have a whole bunch of hiccups when it comes to this. And you know, it kind of be like that sometimes, you know? I mean, how long did it take him? He's been like streaming like this for a year. Is he dead? He's dead. Let's fucking go, boys.
Clearly.
Dude, the black ones are freaking crazy, man. Their fighting power is incredible.
Like, wait, hold on. The essential argument here is Hasan is pro-worker, so we should make a ruckus about it anytime Hasan isn't the most pro-worker person in his field. Anytime anybody else does anything more kind, it's a mark against him.
So it's not. All right. What it is I think people should be paid. So the reason why I believe that it is against what I consider to be what socialism stands for is I believe a core tenet of socialism is paying people for labor that they provide for you.
What about mutual aid and volunteer work?
Well, mutual aid and volunteer work has to do with like community organizing of a democratic origin, no? Like towards democratic means, no? Like establishing
mutual aid? Just, I mean, it can be just as simple as volunteer work.
Volunteer work for like feeding homeless. I don't think like volunteer work feeding homeless is equivalent to like volunteering to be on Hasan's mod team.
Don't you think that socialists should be paying people who give their time towards bettering the community with mutual aid?
I mean, sure, why not?
Sure, I agree. We should all be doing these nice things. Why should I be angry if a person doesn't?
Well, I'm trying to make the argument specifically about paying people that do labor for you when I was talking about the mod team, right? So sure. people who do labor for you, is it not like, I don't think I'm obtuse for saying that like a really big part of socialism is paying people that do labor for you if you profit off of that labor, correct?
I mean, it's really more about who controls the means of production. But yes, ideally, the abolition of surplus value would be a component of that.
I mean, I feel like that's I don't feel like that's much of a stretch, right? Is like that. I don't feel like I'm doing socialism is win no house.
I have to caution because capitalism is all about like unrestricted free enterprise and market competition. But I wouldn't get angry at a capitalist anytime they donated something or anytime they bought something from a subsidized industry or whatever. If your willingness to impugn people for hypocrisy is as ubiquitous as you do a thing which in some context doesn't align with the reality of the perfect society you want to live in, then we would all be fucked. But Hasan is the only one who gets attacked for this.
But because we don't do that, because there's a lot of people that don't have the means to be able to avoid that. That's the key problem.
Buying from subsidized industries? I think that's totally
I don't have the means to not buy from Walmart. What do you mean? I have to buy shirts from Walmart. I have to buy like all of my goods from Walmart. I don't have the money to not do that. Hasan does. Hasan has money to pay his mods. I
actually think a lot of people do have the means not to buy something from Walmart. I think it's harder. But I do think they absolutely have the means to not buy something specifically from Walmart. Well, it is more difficult, and you can say that's not that's also a point. But I do think you do have the option not to buy things from Walmart. There usually are other stores out there that you can get just about the same stuff done. It does depend highly on where you live. Beat his ass. He's donezo.
I do have the money to pay like my editors and stuff like that.
So do you have any spare money whatsoever?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, do you keep it?
Yes, I do.
There are certainly people who could use it more than you, no?
Is your argument supposed to be the arbitrary nature of how much money I believe is necessary before we can give it to people that do labor for you?
My point is that this is pointless. If there's behavior that you think should be changed, what you can do is advocate for it to be changed. But you don't actually care about... I'll be honest. I don't think you actually care... Well, hold on. I don't think you actually care whether or not Hasan does any of this. I think that you dislike him and you like using these things as vectors for attack.
Oof.
Because if you were really concerned with the utilitarian harm that he
does,
I
feel like this is a little...
you'd be attacking him way more for some of the incorrect positions he espouses. Not for these...
I do both.
Well, I see what makes the headlines. It's not just you. Rather than this toothless attempt at constantly undermining him because people think he's not living the monastic lifestyle of a true socialist. Even Marx relied off of the labor that Engels' factory workers produced. If I really wanted to get, woke scoldy about it, I could go back to the origins and say that Das Kapital was written off the blood of, the proletarians exploited in Engels' factory.
This just comes back to it. Do we have no moral obligations that we hold anybody up to? They just do whatever the hell they want.
I keep telling you, you can encourage them to do better.
Okay, so then I mean, at that point, like, if we're holding nobody up to any kind of moral standard, that
I don't know why you
ought to
keep
do
saying
anything.
that. It's because the ought doing things standard that you're setting right now seems to be incredibly arbitrary and fueled by a particular dislike for the person. Which is why earlier I said you would never do this for other people. People don't do this for other people. We don't see this in mainstream media, and we don't do this to regular political pundits. It's socialists. It's socialists who get these attacks, and it's been happening for centuries. Toothless cowards, that's not you, by the way, I'm mostly thinking of Ben Shapiro, who have no real counter-argument to our positions, so instead they whine and bitch that the wealthy are just hypocrites and the poor just feel guilty, and that they don't actually attack any of our positions because they know they can't. So instead, they go back to these circuitous, meaningless, arbitrary, boundaryless arguments about whether or not you're truly living as a socialist, living your principles. I don't know what it means to live your principles. Do capitalists not buy from subsidized industries? Do people who believe that animals have feelings not buy meat? This is the same argument that I had with the vegans. And like with the vegans, it feels like they're more motivated by feeling better than the people they dislike than they are by making an affirmative change. Which is why I'm okay with the good vegans, the ones who say, hey, maybe try not eating meat on Tuesdays. Maybe we could cook this meal together. Affirmative arguments that change people's minds, not just an excuse to feel better than the people who you think aren't living up to their principles.
That is a kind of good argument.
I feel like if anybody's attributing points here that don't belong to somebody, it's you to me. I haven't. You're like talking about vegans here and stuff like this. Listen, and you're trying to say that I really hate Hasan here. I mean, I've gotten into trouble saying that.
Disproportionate.
I do think. I don't know. I feel like Vaush is being a little antagonistic here, being like, I really feel like you just hate Hasan here. Like, I mean, come on, bud. Come on, bud. It's a little bit much. You could assign him a little bit more charity than that. I don't know Arbitrariness. I don't know anything about him really. But I think it gives. Oh, the dink. Did you see that? The fucking dink. I think you could assign him a little bit more charity than that.
Sure, but I mean, you don't know my position on him, right? I literally get in shit because I say that Hasan is not a bad person to have as the largest political streamer on Twitch, right? I get in shit for saying that because so many people like think that we ought to hate him, right? And I could go down a laundry list if that's what you want me to do. I could go down a laundry list of why I think that's the case. If you want me to prove to you that I don't fucking despise this man, it's not coming.
He made 4 videos about Hasan's house. Is that true? Wait, is that true? Has he unironically made like 4 videos about Hasan's house? Really? Is he just milking that shit for content? Listen, Hasan's house discourse comes. The milkman is here, buddy. I'm the milk. The milkman's milk is fucking delicious. Okay, let's milk. Yeah, let's milk, boys. I can't bring myself to milk that hard. I can't milk like the quartering does. You know, I cannot. He used to seem pretty chill. I don't know, man. I can see him milking though. I can see him milking. I'm sorry. He does seem like he likes the taste of that drip, that milk. That being said, once again, I don't know him, so I can't speak about this authoritatively. The shark pee in his basement. I have a bathroom like literally right across from my bedroom, and I do pee in that toilet that is in my basement. So to a degree, I do pee in my basement a little bit, but not like that much.
All from spite. You keep constantly attributing this malice to me when it comes to my positions, and we're never going to make any headway if every time I try and make an argument, you're just saying, well, it's coming from a position of spite. This is never going to go anywhere.
I haven't accused you of acting out of spite. What I'm saying is that there's a historic tendency for people to use these arguments against socialists. Now, I'm impugning people broadly here because there's been mainstream attacks against Hasan for stuff like this.
Amazing.
But you are, I think, participating in the same general bias that exists here. There's a reason why we're not having this conversation about some random capitalist YouTuber who hasn't spent enough money donating to like centrist Democrat causes, you know? We don't go up to like random giant centrists online
and
go,
true.
Like, why haven't you, donated to Joe Manchin or whatever. This is very specifically a thing that people do to socialists. And for that reason, and because of the fact that all this ever does practically is stir up resentment and discourse on the left, this seems like an attack on socialism. It doesn't make our movement better or stronger, and it's being inaccurately and selectively applied, because if you really cared about the changes being made, you would apply them ubiquitously, not just with Hasan. So what am I to take from that? I mean, does it not feel...
where do you think I'm not applying the criticism ubiquitously?
I'm just going to take a guess, and I could be wrong, but you probably haven't made a bunch of content about every other wealthy person who doesn't have a lot of money on the books being spent on causes relative to their political positions.
Do I have to do that before I can even criticize one dude?
So, given that one of my positions is that this critique is often applied lopsidedly towards socialists, that would be something I'd be interested in knowing. It's not just you, friend. It's like everyone. There's a reason for that.
That's what I've said. I've said this. Wait, hold on. So I've said that, like, I would apply this to everybody on the political spectrum that does not participate in what I would consider to be many of these actions that I've listed so far.
Well, everyone says that, but we see who gets the headlines, right?
Okay, can you point me to a specific person? You're looking for me to morally condemn for this shit? I mean, you've pointed me in a direction, and I already agree, but, like, I don't think I'm going to make headway to Rachel Maddow.
I think the arguments that you're making right now are pretty much universally applicable against any kind of pundit or newscaster.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think I'm going to make headway with Rachel Maddow, though.
Okay, well, let's be fair. You're not with Hasan either, right? Even I couldn't make headway with Hasan, and I'm the guy directly beneath him in terms of size.
But I can contribute to a narrative that is portrayed in the space that Hasan is in, and avoid people from making arguments I would consider to be bad or just not well informed on what we could be making and pushing people to use their power effectively.
How about Bastiat?
What about Bastiat?
Bastiat makes more money than I do. Do you know of any public efforts he's made to raise money for any pro-neoliberal causes or any donations?
Well, Bastiat did work for an oil firm in Florida to try to make it so his company can pollute more waterways and pump more oil. So, I mean, in that case, he kind of did. He was like the emblem. He was like, didn't he sit in front of, I think he sat in front of the Florida legislator and argued that his company deserves to pump more oil into people's water.
He's made to said candidates?
I had no idea about the amount of money Bastiat made.
Well, he's a lawyer.
Personally.
He's simply participating in society. Yeah, I forgot. My bad. He is simply participating in society by arguing in front of state legislatures to make poor people's water worse.
Lawyers don't make as much money as you, right? They don't make 1/5 of as much money as you.
Do you want him to starve?
It seems that he makes a decent amount of money. I mean, do you think that he's doing enough to live by his principles, or do you think he's just
considering the median lawyer makes like $100,000? Yeah, I'm not expecting somebody to who makes that much money to be going out of their way to commit to political action large scale. No. I'd say when you're making like that, I'm not even sure I would put you in a bin where I would morally obligate you to do this. When you're talking about that gray area that you were referencing before, and you're lumping in average people or people like me or my mother who make fucking $30K a year, all right? I wouldn't lump us in.
We're not talking about 30K.
Because you're trying to say that well, this could be applied to anybody. It can't. I'm talking about people with excess, people who are making $1 million a year surplus is what I'm talking about, right? When you're making that kind of money,
500,000.
Well, this is what I mean. You're making appeals to the exact precise money, and you're saying because I cannot root some objective, quantifiable, precise point therefore you're throwing away the entire concept of maybe if you're making $1 million surplus a year that you can afford to pay a mod $5 a week.
If we're just choosing an arbitrary line, then why not 10 million? I don't think Hasan makes 10 million a year.
Sure, if you legitimately want to stake your opinion at 10 million, I will fully take that. I will 100% take that. If you commit somebody makes $10 million, let's say you make $10 million. In the next year or whatever, and you stake that, sure. I just think that not a ridiculous point is $1 million surplus. And part of the reason why I use this amount of money is because if you look at how much money you can make off of that money, just for instance being in a account, acquiring interest from the markets, he will make $100,000 a year from just breathing oxygen and having that money acquire interest after inflation. That is an unfathomable amount of money to the average person. When you make so much money. No, but that's at that point, right? You don't have to work to live. You work 1 year and then you live the rest of your life.
These seems to me like tangential arguments at most.
So the reason
fully
why
aware that he's extremely wealthy. He's the largest political streamer in the history of the English-speaking world. It's very impressive.
Okay. So the reason why I'm making appeals to this is because I think that is a fair metric to hold. That if you're making so much money that you only have to do your job for 1 year, then you never have to work for a single day for the rest of your life. Do you agree that's probably a fair metric to say that maybe there could be some resource spread that could happen?
There could always be some resource spread that could happen. Do you
But,
think I don't
like, no,
advocate? I
hold on.
advocate for my chatters to donate whenever I'm doing a fundraiser stream.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that I would stop making that request of them because they make less than $1 million a year? Of
I'm
course
not saying. I'm
It's
not
something
saying
we
that
should
we
all do.
I'm not saying that it's not something that we should all do. What I'm saying is at some point we can easily say that, yeah, at this level of resource accumulation and income, because I want to divorce income from wealth, because if you just had like $3 million, fucking $10 million or what have you, just sitting inside of a fucking account, right? Like, hey, listen, I'm not too sure about that, right? Income is a lot more like, you know, that's something that you can grab onto in comparison to something that might be a little bit more slippery.
Why not
right?
just advocate for everyone to do it if it's within their means?
Because I agree. So that's what I'm trying to prove is what is in your means. And I think the in your means, when you're talking about making so much money that you never have to work for the rest of your life, I think that is a fair metric for in your means. Do you agree or disagree?
I think, well, sure, but I think the bar for in your means is well below that. We don't say that a person can only donate if they're making like the median U.S. income every single month, right? I mean,
and Vaush, I'm not trying to make the argument that that's the level that we have to go with donate, but we've already made headway. We agree that he's at a level where he can donate. My point,
but I never disagreed with that, though.
Okay, but my point off of that is that if we agree that there is a level of excess that like he can donate or what have you, that is quite far away from like in any way, shape, or form hurting him if he were to donate, then like why wouldn't we advocate that somebody who believes in these ideas, believes in the mutual aid, mobilization of a viewer base or what have you, actually do these things like fundraise? Well, no, advocate for it in a way that we can talk about like moral obligation. Like why is it that you're
asking me to commit? You're asking me to commit to a position that I don't think my ethical foundation has a way of accurately describing. You have engaged in an unfathomable degree of arbitrarity over the course of this conversation. We both know, and just to be clear how like hemming we are on this, okay? We both know that the standards you're applying right now are applicable to virtually every large political pundit, okay? Very few of them go off to live in like some 2-bedroom house while spending their money on social causes.
Sure.
Or even anything close to that, you know?
I'm not advocating for that.
So I know. Well, you should be, because the criticism that I have is that this isn't actually about improving the world or about sort of enabling a better standard for political discourse. It's actually about finding a tangential way of accusing socialists of hypocrisy, which has been the sort of primary attack against them for a long time. Wait, hold on, wait, please. You can't be upset with me for saying that, because it does not escape me. I'm sure that if you were to spend even 5 minutes looking around, you could find plenty of capitalist YouTubers and Twitch streamers who fit easily within the monetary bounds you were describing, who do not publicly donate to the political causes they claim to support. But it's always Hasan. And, by the way, me. I don't get it as much as he does, but it does not escape me that the entire online media circuit is constantly obsessed with how every dollar is spent when it's held by a socialist. It ultimately is about hypocrisy. And to be honest, I just don't care about hypocrisy. I care about good and bad behavior.
You keep attributing things to me, and I just completely disagree.
I'm talking about the behavior that we typically see, and while I cannot deductively tell you that you are biased in how you approach these things, the weight you assign to different people and different perceived types of behavior and the extent to which they are damaging fits in with a broader narrative which is centuries old.
Okay, can you give me one capitalist streamer who is a political streamer, because I'm reserving this for political pundits, one capitalist streamer who I wouldn't apply this criticism to? You believe just
how many have you applied this criticism to?
The criticism about spending more money, politically speaking?
To spend more money to better, further their political goals. Right.
I don't even apply it to you as a literal fact of the matter, because you said you make what, like $130,000 discretionary income at the end of the year, something like that. I wouldn't even apply
let's
this
go with
to
that
you.
Number.
That's what I heard, that you said discretionary after rent and everything like that. But anyway, I wouldn't even apply this to you. I'm talking about people with such an excess of money that it's not even realistic that they're because I think there's many arguments to be made that you could be saving your money for in case you get banned permanently, which could be you making
any
only
day now, yeah.
Yeah, that could be I think when you make the amount of money that Hasan makes, where he can literally live the rest of his life off of 1 year's income, I think then I can start talking about, hey, you're probably not saving for a rainy day unless you're saving for a rainy day in a mansion, right? So let's talk about perhaps, ways that we can be more proactive with our political goals and what have you. I think that's a very realistic.
Something I talk about as well. What should we do when we morally condemn a person? What's the practical? Do we say that Hasan is bad now, even though they're contributing a net positive utility?
No. You could say, again, I don't do that. I know you don't believe me because you spent this entire conversation so far saying that I'm just shitting on Hasan and I'm one exactly like everybody else, right?
So
I know you spent that.
We always talk about shitting on Hasan. When will we talk about shitting in Hasan? This is the discourse that I want to start to get to, okay? I really feel like this. Now, this is what I'm talking about, fruitful discourse for the lefty movement, okay? That's what I like. Can we talk about it more? I think we should talk about it more. Here's the thing. I don't know. Why is this so big of a conversation? I don't know. I just think it's good. It's good to push us on to do more. It's always good to push everyone to do more. That's good. It's great. You know, we always take out cum, but we never take out cream. Let's go get cream. We never take out cream. It's on bad. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're canceling me. Why? Why? What have I done wrong? Wait, no, they didn't give me cum. Oh, they gave me cream. What's up, cream? Cancel. Leave me alone, bro. Why am I being canceled? What have I done wrong? I think I'm a good boy. Am I not a good boy? Am I a bad boy? I don't know. Am I a bad boy? I thought I was good. Never say that again. What do you mean? Say what? Shitting in
This
Hasan?
meme is very real.
I think it's a valid question.
Appreciate you mischaracterizing what I've said. If you genuinely don't think there's an imbalance in the way this stuff is talked about with regards to Hasan and other socialists compared to others, I would say that's like delusional. And
Well,
this
you said
conversation
several- you
is
said
in line with those trends. You can't deny that.
But I could make levy the same argument at you that you're in line with the same argument that people make
I
that
kinda
socialists
want some
never have to do
coconut water.
anything with their money ever,
Some coconut
and they
milk.
can, in fact, just become a hyper-capitalist like Jeff Bezos after they're done because, hey, fuck it, it's their money. They earned it.
Well, I'm
And
not
then you would
talking
be
about
like, oh, goodness.
hyper-capitalist business ownership or being Jeff Bezos. I'm talking about being a Twitch streamer, right?
Right, and
but if your
I'm- and
position,
I'm not
if,
talk-
if,
I'm
if
not
your
talking
position
about-
though is I don't really care how Hasan spends his money, then the answer to that would be yeah. A couple $1 million, whatever Hasan owns, is chump change compared to the voice that he has. The spending of his money is meaningless almost compared to what he could be doing with his platform.
I disagree. Right?
Relative. Oh, sorry.
When we see actions like canvassing that was done in Georgia, I think that was crazy powerful. And
Yeah,
that's
what I'm talking about.
This meme is
Hasan
very
has the
real.
capability to finance that on a level that is like tenfold what happened before.
Well, that would mostly be an exercise of his voice more so than his wealth. We have as streamers, we have a disproportionate amount of an audience relative to our wealth, you know?
Sure.
Then-
So
yeah.
I can work with that. I can work with you because I don't disagree with you. My whole point has been about influence and wealth, right? And of course, I would hope that if he was going to do it, he'd probably pick up the tab, but I guess he doesn't have to.
Well,
but like,
on like booking hotels or something. I mean, depending on how many people there are there, like he could probably
course,
get like
right.
5,000, 10,000
Yeah,
people
I-
out to
We got
like
it.
the district.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he could pick up the tab.
yeah,
on
yeah,
those
of
many,
course. Yeah, of course. But, like those are details. I'm not expecting him to spend $3 million on this fucking shit, right? Or what have you. So I just want to make it clear that when I'm talking about moral condemnation, I'm not saying that we have to say Hasan is like the worst person ever or even that he's a bad person, but saying that what he is participating in is a bad action. He's doing something bad. He's not doing something good. He's doing something bad. And the reason why I think this is important is because part of the people that you are criticizing for having this condemnation of him or this criticism for him is coming from that position, that it is bad for him not to be using his resources and influence to be able to further causes. When we talk about things like fundraising, he
Is
doesn't
that
even
really
really
what
need
we're
his
talking about, though?
that is what listen. If you want to have a conversation with somebody else, you can. But have a conversation with somebody else.
No,
Who
I am. It's just, again, it doesn't escape me that Hasan is the only person to get this. It just feels like if this
It's
was something,
because- okay,
it feels like, wait, stop. You're going to accuse me of being bad faith here. But considering my main reservation with this entire issue is the fact that people will say this is a ubiquitous standard and then only socialists get attacked over it. The fact that you could apply this criticism to virtually any large political pundit in this country. Now, if that's a consistent standard that you want to hold, then you would be ubiquitous in your criticisms. And if that's the case, I think that's fine. And you can say that, but I know who gets videos made about them. Not from you, just you, but from everyone, you know? This is like one of those, it's like one of those things where I don't think you're being dishonest or anything like that at all. It's just, I think it's very clear that the hypocrisy element is the thing that drives this discourse. And that's the thing I'm least convinced by.
Okay, I don't. It's not about hypocrisy at all for me. I don't know how else to explain that.
You did earlier say hypocrisy was an element of it, didn't you?
I said hypocrisy was an element when it came to not paying the people that do labor for you, and I stand by that.
Shouldn't everyone pay those who do labor for you?
Especially socialists should, because it is a core tenet of socialism. Is it not?
Why does that make any difference? Shouldn't they still do a good thing?
Wait, okay. If it's a core tenet of the philosophy that you hold, you are held to a higher obligation to do that in comparison to somebody who doesn't have that as a core tenet of the philosophy.
No, everyone should do good things.
Okay, wait, no. Okay,
Well,
so
by the way, do you consider yourself? Do you
You're-
consider yourself a utilitarian? By the way,
Yes, I
what
do.
you're describing right now is deontological.
It's not.
No, it is, and you're not the only one to do this. There is, as far as I understand, no way of approaching this issue from my perspective from a utilitarian perspective, while valuing does a bad thing become good if it's done consistently? Does a good thing become bad if it's done hypocritically? Like, how does that work?
No, it has to do with your ignorance relative to what you are doing, right? So this is where I was talking about like the hypocrisy and how people might address it and how I could better articulate it, I think, when it comes to this conversation. So the hypocrisy element, I think that of the people that aren't being just, ridiculous about it, because I think there are people being ridiculous about it, there's an element of, I don't know how you can get to a point where in which you or not I, but more of like the individuals that might be making this argument, if I'm trying to be as good faith to the people making the hypocrisy argument as possible, that it is a mystery how you can get to the point where you're a socialist and you've been streaming for years and you've had back and forth, you've had debates, and you don't pay your editor when you make $100,000+ a year.
Sure.
At least $2. Right. And then I would extend this to mods as well. When you're making millions of dollars a year, just throw them a bone. Okay, just throw them anything.
Well, I think
just give them something.
The idea of paying people for their labor is not a uniquely socialist concept.
It's not a uniquely socialist concept. It's not. I agree. However, the idea that it is core and fundamental to the philosophy that you preach and that you hold to be the foundation of your political advocacy does matter. Okay, so
I care about people doing good things and people doing bad things.
Okay, so yeah, allow me to explain this through the ignorance thing. Do you agree that somebody who is ignorant as to whether or not there are negative effects about, let's say, a capitalist business structure, right? Let's say there's somebody who is a conservative and thinks that capitalism is really cool and welfare is cringe and shit like that, and thinks you should squeeze your employees for as much money as possible, and is ignorant to the
do capitalists not know that it's nice to pay mods for volunteering in your chat? Are they ignorant of that? If I said that to them, do you think they'd give me a confused Tim Allen face? Or
it's not about whether or not they think that it's a good thing. It's about the necessity that they believe that ought to be done. So if I'm going to finish the analogy that I was making just for a second, right? The conservative starting that business and squeezing their employees for money, do you agree that person is worthy of the same moral condemnation? Because you got to keep in mind that person's ignorant of any kind of argument about exploitative labor and anything like that in comparison to a socialist doing the exact same thing. Do you think that they're both equally morally condemnable for their actions, or do you think because one is ignorant of a system that exists that exploits people, do you think that person is less morally condemnable than somebody that is knowingly exploiting their workforce and that they know is morally bad just for their own political gain? Because this is a difference between malice and ignorance.
So first of all, if we're not talking about the utility derived from an action, then you're talking about what is it called? The ethics. What's the the term when you measure the moral worth of people? Where you what's that term? Virtue ethics. Thank you. Yes, you're speaking like a virtue ethicist. Of what concern should I have for people's for their how they feel about the bad thing they're doing? Also,
no, their ignorance of whether or not what they're doing is good or wrong, right? This is the reason why we treat adolescents differently than adults, is because they're ignorant to the way that the world.
I don't think that's an analogous comparison. First of all, the conditions of oppression are equally known to capitalists and to socialists. There's a different moral position on whether or not it's acceptable. Are you?
Wait,
sorry.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Capitalists are aware, business owners, of the relationship they have between the money they make and the money their workers make. They know what surplus labor is. They don't call it that. They call it profit. But they know what it is. They know what they're doing. They have a different moral perspective on whether or not they have the right to exploit people. Not so much an ignorance to the fact that they are suffering, but rather a different moral perspective on whether or not that's something that they feel they should be able to participate in.
So we both know that this isn't a universal truth, because there are people that do participate in a more conservative outlook, but once they get more perspective, let's say read theory or whatever you consider, right? They become educated on the actual ways that this might be exploitative. You know this. We've talked about this.
Yeah,
you can get educated.
I just said that. You have an ethical restructuring in your head, but you're not ignorant as to what you're doing. If anything, I think that comparison would be most valid if you were talking about a purely Marxian concept, like alienation, because that's something I wouldn't expect you to know about unless you had specifically read Marx. But the dynamics of a business and how surplus labor works is something that you would have to learn in order to operate a business.
But the outcomes you can't say that that's really simple, Vaush. You know the outcomes of surplus labor and quote-unquote exploiting a workforce is not just simple as it seems. Oh yeah, these people shouldn't get this much money because I put forward the capital and stuff like that. It's not that simple. It's not like, well, anybody looking at it at a passing glance understands the full scope of it and how it works. You may not understand how these people live their life, what it feels like to be somebody that never had an opportunity to acquire that capital, what it feels like to be working class.
Now we're not talking about socialism. Now we're just talking about degree to which you can sympathize with the poor. And there are socialists who have no sympathy or empathy for people other than themselves. Socialism is just a political philosophy, not a degree of empathy for people.
What I'm referencing when it comes to the ignorance of some capital owners, when it comes to how they exploit their workers, is that ignorance can result in them committing to actions that might be considered morally bad. And that when it comes to somebody's position on coming to an ignorant position or what have you, versus a position of malice, we would generate like different moral condemnations for these actions. Or do you disagree? So like maybe I could.
I mean, I understand why you would why would you react to like almost everything Hasan does on stream. I mean, it is good content. And I mean, I'm not saying that he only does it specifically for content. But not only is it good content, but it's if you do believe it, like you'll be talking about it a lot. I'm just saying that I'm not gonna say that this isn't fueled by a lot of content. My man's got a midriff in the look at that. My dude's got a whole freaking midriff. He's wearing like a sports bra out here in the middle of winter, my man. He's the strongest guy. You know what this guy is? This guy is like the dudes who were like really uncomfortable with their sexuality in high school. So they went to, so even if it was like snowing outside, they went to school in basketball shorts. You know what I mean?
Just reinstate this.
I think the way that we respond to these situations should be modified to enact the best outcomes possible. So if you think a person is acting out of malice or knowing ill intent, I think that you would respond to that situation differently, not because they're being hypocritical, but rather because it could procure different outcomes. Or to put it another way, there are also malicious capitalists, aren't there? It's not like the only people who can run a business ruthlessly while knowing they're fucking over their workers are socialists. There are capitalists who probably run their businesses with more malicious intent than many socialists who do. And those people aren't being hypocritical. The hypocrisy isn't the element there. The issue there is whatever way in which you can address their behavior that affects the best outcome.
Well,
I think that my behavior affects the best outcome. My standard for this is we should encourage Hasan to do better with what he has, his money, his resources, his platform. But this, like, he's bad, I condemn him stuff, and the fact that this only gets thrown at people like Hasan, not just by you, but, it does, seems to me like it's an effort from outside of the movement to destabilize it without ever challenging any of the moral positions, Okay,
I mean, you could keep saying that. I mean, I'm not the one doing I feel like that's just... You're just constantly stating something to try and attribute it to me when that's not what I'm doing.
Do you think I'm attributing malice to you or pointing out a pattern? And do you disagree that the pattern
I feel like
exists?
you're pointing. The pattern exists outside of this conversation. I would say, from my perspective, I could understand if you believe that I'm like being bad faith.
I don't think you're being bad faith at all.
Okay, so then why constantly are you referencing this?
Well, because I'm talking about the general pattern. What you're essentially doing is asking me for my opinion on how to address a type of behavior in the socialist movement. And my answer to that is
not even in the socialist movement. Again, I preface this with political advocacy in general. When we're talking about political advocacy in general, this is what I'm talking about.
Okay, let me give you an example, I guess, of where I'm coming from here, right? Okay, so let's imagine we were talking about cancel culture. So it's something I've talked about a lot. And imagine that you come on here to talk about the cancel culture lefties. Let's say you're a conservative, okay? I know you're not, but let's say, okay. And you're talking about cancel culture lefties. And I'll agree with some of your points and disagree with a lot of other ones, But at some point during that conversation, I'm going to have to bring up the fact that cancel culture as a talking point is always brought up to attack the left when the right does it as much, if not more. And then you would say, oh, well, I dislike it when it's done on the right as well. We're just talking about me. Don't assign like broader intent based on the conversations you've had with other people. And I would say, okay, fair, but it's a little difficult for me to ignore the fact that this is overwhelmingly a talking point used against the left, and by agreeing with anything that you say, I'm implicitly reaffirming the idea that this is some kind of biased problem. And I notice when I look at your YouTube channel, Random Conservative Ahrelavent, that you only talk about cancel culture when the left does it and never when the right does it. So I don't know if you've bought the Kool-Aid a little bit too in that respect. That's kind of my worry coming into this. I don't think you're acting in bad faith. I think that hypocrisy is the big thing that drives your behavior here. The perceived hypocrisy.
So if you want to talk about my YouTube channel and how I talk to primarily people on the left, that's just because that's primarily the people who I have access to even have a conversation with on Twitch. Like Dylan Burns talks about this consistently, how impossible it is to find conservatives to be able to talk about shit because there's no conservative streamers. Like that's just the facts. There's like fucking 3. Right? Like I'm not going to be able to, I don't have a very large pool of people to be able to talk to. 1, and 2, I don't think that on Twitch politics, a lot of their opinions are very relevant. If you want to talk about overall whether or not they're relevant, absolutely. Like they absolutely are. But then like I'm going to fall into the same pit that like everybody criticizes other people for, where like I guess I could debate Lauren Southern, but then I'm going to get fucking canceled for that because I'm platforming Lauren Southern.
You don't have to talk with people. Have you spoken with Hasan or have you just talked about Hasan?
Nobody can talk with Hasan.
That,
What do you
well,
mean?
yeah. So who you can talk to has nothing to do with it. Hasan is as distant to you as Philip DeFranco is. You will never talk to him, and honest to God, I probably never will either. He is so big. But if I look at your YouTube channel, you don't post too often, but the three most recent videos are a rapid fire of Hasan hypocrisy stuff. I think, resulting, Hasan perpetuates white suburbs. Here's why. Hasan and LSF don't want you to see this meme. Hasan responds to Ben Shapiro.
Oh no! Wait, that does. Oh no! It's like opening up Jimmy Dore's account. Holy shit! Has he actually spoken to Hasan? Was it like on a panel or something? How'd that one work out? How'd that one work out? That's curious. I didn't expect him to be able to speak to Hasan. Also, good night. Take care. Yeah, let's buy a couple of arrows. Yeah, I don't know, man. Oh, it was on a panel? Yeah, okay. All right, I had a feeling. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking like that is a little wacky. I do want to see what Arbitrariness has to say about like giga posting Hasan House hypocrisy stuff. Oh yeah, with the wait, did he think that meme was good? The you should tax I'm socialist. You should tax rich people. Here's a bag of money. On second thought, yeah, isn't a man deserving of the sweat of his brow? Like, I mean, come on, bud. Like, that's kind of ridiculous. Like that, I mean, I feel like these things are like so different from each other. Yeah, Hasan House-tocracy. Doesn't a man deserve his tummy rubbies? Like, that was like a cringe. That was chili shroom. I was just like cringe as fuck, I think personally. It's just Hasan's the thing that always happens with those memes is that they're trying to say that once you get money, your positions changed. If any of Hasan's positions changed from before he was a big streamer to now, I would absolutely feel I would 100% agree. But the thing is, they haven't changed. That meme had literally nothing to do with Hasan. And this isn't me, like, I think I've criticized Hasan a decent amount on stream. But like, that being said, I don't know. It's just ridiculous how Hasan and LSF don't want you to see this meme. Dog, nobody fucking cares. He's still alive.
Whereas, and I know I'm not going to find any examples here of you calling out like Philip DeFranco or like any large news pundit or even like some of the like larger, more apolitical leaning types. Hell, Video Game Donkey has talked about how he doesn't like Trump. Have we seen him put his money where his mouth is? I don't know. So with all of that being said, it does feel like we're all kind of leaning a little bit on the hypocrisy angle, which is one I just don't relate to. If your general prescription is we should make an effort to encourage political pundits to live by their principles, to donate their money, then I agree with you completely. I just go about it in a different way. I think we should be positive and affirmative because the alternative, like denouncing and like this person's bad and stuff, causes a lot of division and infighting, which is ultimately destructive to our movement. And my goal is always, of course, a strong socialist movement.
So then I'm just curious because it genuinely feels like there's literally nothing I can do to convince you that I'm good faith at this point. So I'm giving up on that.
Wait. You have to stop doing that. I'm not accusing you of being bad faith. I'm accusing you of having biases, which we all have.
Okay, don't you are heavily implying that
I'm not implying anything. I've stated outright how I feel about this. I feel like the hypocrisy angle is the big one for you. Because if it wasn't, then you would be seeing these criticisms made all over the place.
Vaush, can you meet me halfway when I say
I don't think Vaush, I do think it's true. I do think what Vaush is saying is true. I don't think what Vaush is saying is conducive to like having a good discussion with Arbitrariness though. I feel like that's something that you point out afterwards, after the conversation. But I don't think that's something that you say to his face. Not because you don't believe it, but because it's not conducive to like having a good conversation. And I'm not sure if it makes you look the best when you're like, oh, look at these biases. Like maybe the first time when he pulled up the YouTube channel and there were like 3 videos like Hasan hypocrisy. Hasan doesn't want you to see this meme about like socialists getting money and then turning cringe. Like that time I was like, okay, yeah, I see. I see. I see from like Arbitrariness. I don't know. Just curious, but at the same time, I'm just I don't think it's like conducive to having a good conversation with Arbitrariness. Like doing that to his face. I just think he'll kind of like shut down a little bit and think like you're accusing him of like super hypocrisy, which it seems like that's the case.
That you're implying that I'm bad faith when I say to you that I'm not drilling the hypocrisy angle, when I prefaced me going off about the on the conservative thing and how like there's a difference between ignorance and malice and things like this. This was the position that other people were coming to when they were talking about a hypocrisy. That when people were talking about hypocrisy relative to Hasan, what they were really digging at was this idea that they believed that like somebody in Hasan's position should know better than to not pay their editor, have to be reminded to do that, have to be reminded to pay their mods. That's what they mean. Primarily.
Well, I mean, whether or not you want to pay your mods, I think that varies. Very few communities do that. I don't do that. I wonder if there would actually be a perverse incentive to that. I would have to think about that.
I don't know, like Ludwig fucking does it, Co-Carnage does it. I mean, it seems to do okay.
People doing a thing doesn't mean socialists. See, this is again exactly what I mean.
Hold on, dude, I'm not doing this fucking thing where I'm saying that like because other people do it, socialists have to do it. What I'm saying is there are examples of people doing it and it not going to shit. That's what I'm saying.
I've never said that it would go to shit. I just,
you just said that maybe there would be a perverse incentive, and I just gave you examples of people that do it where they seem to be getting along.
Wait. He didn't like Vaush know. Okay, wait. Vaush knows that you can do it without things going bad, but the likelihood of things going bad, like what? Let's say if there's a high likelihood of things going bad, but people do it and it doesn't go bad. Like you can still say that things can go bad in that situation. You don't have to be like. It's not like 100% one way or the other here.
Just fine. And then you ran off and said, that's me trying to say because other people do it, socialists do it. I'm not. I was just simply responding to the fact that other people do it and their channels seem to be fine.
Well, earlier in this conversation, you have explicitly said that the fact that other people pay their mods is an indication that Hasan should as well. And then just about 60 seconds ago, you said that we should expect people like Hasan to know to pay their mods. So I don't think it's bad faith of me to imply that you do think that other people paying their mods means that Hasan should also pay their mods. That seems like an explicit argument you were making, right?
Right. So when I brought up the my initial statement about other people paying their mods, what I was talking about was the fact that I feel like we can often point to other people doing these X, Y, Z, and Z actions that we can draw influence from and that we should copy what they're doing because it's a good thing to do. We can make this a moral standard. And I don't see a reason why we don't make it a moral standard. So I want to,
sure. Well, no, but that's, no, but again, we're okay. So that's good. I think that's a good thing, but we should try to do it in a way that facilitates the best positive outcomes, right? I mean, we should.
Yeah, and so that's where yes, we're not going to disagree on that. And what the only disagreement that we might have is which one of our positions facilitates the best outcomes. So my question to you is if you
positions has been expressed by Ben Shapiro. I mean, you do know.
Do you really believe my opinion was expressed by Ben Shapiro?
I think that an adjacent argument to it was Ben Shapiro's argument was a lot stupider than the one you're giving right now, for sure, because it's Ben Shapiro.
Hold on.
But the basic argument was that Hasan's a socialist, and that socialists, because they have different standards for how workers should be treated, apparently, they should be held to a higher standard when it comes to some of this stuff.
And his argument was that he shouldn't buy a house. That's his argument. That's not mine.
Well, that was being rooted in the broader criticism that you made, right? Because that thing that I just said, that Ben Shapiro said, you said that because he's a socialist.
Yeah, Hasan should pay more. That's a valid argument. Hasan doesn't pay enough, therefore he can't argue economic justice. Yeah, that is cringe. Or saying that he's not living up to his values. I don't know, man. I feel like from what I've heard so far, I heard that Hasan pays his mods. I've heard that Hasan pays his editors a decent amount. There were like hiccups when that came up. That being said, I do think when you're first starting to learn how to do stuff like this, that you should be given a little bit of a grace period to be like, okay, let's try and get this, let's try and get this working. I do want to give him a little bit of leeway, since he, literally started in 2019. That's, it's not like he's been at it for years. Like, once again, Co-Carnage, Destiny, all those people have been at it for years and they can work out all those bugs and, they've been through all those situations before. You're just seeing them now 10 years down the road and it looks like they're doing everything right, but it definitely, I know for a fact, it definitely didn't start out that way. You know what I mean? No Germa emote. Who is Germa? That's a streamer, right?
he's to be held to a different standard because of well, you say a different degree of like awareness. Ben Shapiro never got that specific. Okay,
so,
then,
awareness though. Awareness. No, you can't just. He's trying to say that he's completely bastardizing these ideas. Trying to say if you believe in Marxism, that means you must donate all your money. Nowhere have I said that, and you attributing anything even adjacent to that, I think is incredibly bad faith.
No, like so. The argument
what I'm saying is that if you're a socialist, you have an understanding that labor ought to be compensated to a degree that many people, many capitalists, like especially like conservatives, may not have that same relationship. That your passion, that your fervor for the position that you believe that labor ought to be compensated is going to be drastically different than many other people. And
right,
I would attribute that
are the arguments that Ben Shapiro made. Yeah.
No, it is not. Ben Shapiro's argument was that if you're a socialist, you should donate your money.
No,
that's entirely
his
different.
argument was that if you're a socialist, you have a different set of moral positions, and that you should live out. You should enact those moral positions.
And what was the way he argued you enact those moral positions, Vaush?
Your arguments weren't exactly the same. I'm not saying you're saying he can't buy a big house. What I'm saying is the way in which broadly this discourse is getting handled against Hasan, which is to say to morally condemn him, to say that he's being a hypocrite, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm not trying to...
Wait, hold on. Wait, please. Wait, stop. I'm getting tired of you like playing the victim over things that I haven't said. You did both of those things. Both of the positions I just described to you and Ben Shapiro, you did. So stop pretending.
He did say Hasan is a hypocrite. I don't want to... That is true. That is true. Okay. He was saying he's not living up to his values and like he's a bit of a hypocrite here. That did happen. I don't want to say that he didn't say that.
That I'm being in bad faith.
I'm not trying to say the way that
approaching this is reflective of a lot of denunciation Hasan gets from people who aren't interested in the health of the socialist community. I am, because I'm part of it. So my only ask is that when addressing issues like this, we try to do so in a way which foments good outcomes rather than bad ones. And the outcomes we're seeing right now, and don't think I haven't seen your content, by the way, okay? I know how you talk about Hasan, and it's far from a hyper-measured analysis of his behavior. I'm not going to get into it any further than that, but don't think that I don't pop into your streams like I do everyone else. I know how you talk about him, okay? I think that it comes down to bias, and I think it comes down to an attempt to attack socialists in ways that people would not apply ubiquitously to other groups. So if we care about the health of socialism, which you don't, so I don't know why I should care about your opinion on this.
Because I'm not a socialist doesn't mean I don't care about the health of socialism.
By definition, the health of socialist movements is defined by the likelihood of our victory. If you think that, like, if you don't want us to win, you can't by definition. Like,
what do you mean?
Do you want us to win?
That's completely. Rather socialists win than anybody else besides Socdems. What do you mean?
Is that true?
What do you mean? Is it? Who the fuck?
Like, if you don't want us to win, you can't by definition. Like,
what do you mean?
Do you want us to win?
That's completely incorrect. I would rather socialists win than anybody else besides Socdems. What do you mean?
Is that true?
What do you mean? Is it? Who the fuck else would I want to win?
Well, you would want the
what? Why do he? My question is, okay, I understand Vaush's question. That being said, I am really curious why Arbitrariness felt like so indignant about that. Why he felt like it was a dumb question to ask. If you're not a socialist, why would you want socialism to win? It's further left than you. I would imagine you don't agree with it, right? Like, I guess when it comes with like, I mean, I'm like a market socialist. I don't know if I really believe in like communism necessarily. So my original thing, if you'd ask me, do I want communists to win? I can't really give you like a real answer on that. Right? Because I don't believe in that political philosophy. And when it comes to Socdems, if Socdems winning means they win over socialists, then yeah, I don't want them to win. So I would imagine as a Socdem, if you're not a socialist, I would imagine that you want to win. You think that your political ideology is better than socialists, right? That's why you're not one. So I would imagine that you wouldn't agree with them winning. I don't know why this is necessarily a huge thing that he's getting mad about, you know?
Socdems will say we prefer the socialists to the fascists, but then they'll fight militantly against the
Christian
socialists anyway.
Watkins.
You can.
What the? Do you think you really are trying to say I fight fucking socialists with fascists?
All right, hold on, wait. Okay, will say we prefer the socialists to the fascists, but then they'll fight militantly. Well, you would want the well, historically, Socdems will say we prefer the socialists to the fascists, but then they'll fight militantly against the socialists anyway. You can.
What the? Do you think you really are trying to say I fight fucking socialists with fascists?
All right, hold on, wait. Okay, I'm actually starting to wonder if you are participating in good faith. So listen to what I said again. It would help if you calmed for a moment. Do you need a break? Do you want some water to drink?
What? I can't do this. I can't do this to people. Vaush is just kind of built different. I just personally can't do this to people. I can't be like, you wanna take a break? You want your milky? You're getting a little upset. You want your mommy to rub your tummy. You want a little milky little baby. You need a nap. Is it nap time for you, baby child? Would you like me to cut the crust off of your PB&J? Would you like me to cut your grilled cheese diagonally? Is it a little too hot for you? Want me to blow it off for you? Is your tomato soup a little too spicy for you? Like, okay, I can't, I just can't do that to people. I would feel bad. I would just feel bad. I would feel like I'm being a dick, you know? So I can't do stuff like this. Like, I think we need to calm down. I think we need to calm down here. You need your safety blankie. This debate seems to get you a little riled up, huh? Seeming to get your jimmies in a twist. Seems to get your jammies in a bunch. Seem to get your panties in a kerfuffle. Your tillywinkle seems to be all discombobulated. You may need to take a break, sonny boy. I just can't do that. Leave my jammies alone. Your jimmies are in a pinch. Arbitrariness acting kind of ridiculous. He's going a little wacky. I don't know. I think Vaush pokes a lot. Vaush does a lot of poking, whether he knows it or not. And Arbitrariness kind of upset.
What I said,
I would do fine without that.
Okay, well, I would do fine without the fuming. What I said was, historically, socialists have aligned with Socdems on a lot of stuff, but there still tends to be a historical opposition between the groups. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go out there and fight Hasan physically. Historically, that dynamic between Socdems and socialists has tended to be more violent because that's how history is. So when I talk about the health of the socialist movement, you'll have to forgive me if people say, I'm invested in the health of the socialist movement, but then they engage in behavior that seems really, really similar to attacks people make against socialists, and have been for hundreds of years, and they do so in a way that that sort of foments broader bad faith criticism.
Would you like me to explain why I think that socialism is a good number 2 compared to social democracy? Would you like me to explain? Would that help?
You're missing the point. That's not what I mean.
You're okay. So you just made an appeal to history about how there has been historical precedent for Socdems siding with other parties, saying that they'll side with socialists, but siding with other parties. Cool. That's not me. You can make an appeal to history and talk about that if you'd like, or what have you. But I don't know why you're talking about that when you could just ask me my positions.
Because, hold on. Because my main concern is that you're biased. Asking you about your positions accomplishes nothing. So we're in a position right now where it seems like this condemning Hasan because he's being hypocritical thing is a argument widely used by anti-socialists or by people who are looking to attack Hasan or the movement in general. You've seen this all over right-wing media and liberal media, often done very spitefully. This was with the House thing and with the Twitch leaks thing. I mean, the idea that socialism, hypocrisy, they should do better isn't the central critique being made here. I think it very clearly is, right? So that tendency, that ideological through line, seems to be facilitating a lot of bad discourse. So I think the better thing that we could do is approach this from a more positive perspective. Yes, Hasan, you're doing a good job, but you could always be doing better, and you push them to do better. But you use words like, condemn. They're doing a morally bad thing. But how can I say a person is doing a morally bad thing when they're doing a net good? How does that foster?
What? We can do bad things even though we're doing overall good?
Well, then wouldn't the bad thing be a lack of every good thing we aren't doing? Do you do a bad thing when you don't give money to a homeless person when you walk down the street?
No, that's not how it works. So what we would do is we're talking about moral obligations, moral expectations given on your potential.
How do you determine what a moral expectation is?
That's what we argue about it. We argue about it's ultimately arbitrary. All morals are arbitrary. We have to make some kind of definition or some kind of line in the sand that we draw, that we argue for, that we ought to hold people up to. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make an argument for why we ought to hold people up to this standard.
But I'm also advocating for that.
Okay, so this is what, again, let's just actually get to it, right? So let's get to the core specific thing, right? Which is, what is the difference between a moral obligation and just saying, hey, that it would be better, you're doing good, it'd be better if you did this, right? What's the core difference here?
I have no idea. I don't think there's any way to solve that within my philosophical framework.
So if that's the case, then why would you shit on me for saying he's doing a bad thing? If it's like, who cares? Like, there isn't really a substantial difference.
Well, there's a tremendously substantial difference, and it's the type of discourse that's produced. Like I said, this hypocrisy argument is being used by people as far right as fascists to attack Hasan. So we should probably focus on one that's like effective and pragmatic, right? I mean, if we want to like choose how to handle this, we should probably not choose the one that aligns us with like every bad actor in the world, right? We should. So then
your argument would then be against whatever argument you're attributing to me specifically on a block. I think like the hypocrisy, argument that I'd be making about specifically paying people that do labor for you, I don't think that one is very widely held. I think you're just latching onto the word hypocrisy there. When we're talking about people,
so it's not about the specific argument. It's about the idea that socialists should be held to a higher standard. Because the practical consequence of what, first of all, because the fact that you think socialists should be held to a higher standard as opposed to a different standard is very odd. Because you know what socialists tend not to care about? Shoplifting. But you would never look at a socialist shoplifting or advocating for shoplifting and then go, oh, well, they're living by their principles. I don't have a problem with that. What you do is you hold them to capitalist moral standards and then add on top of it your expected projected socialist standards. Socialists don't do this in the other direction.
There is no socialist standard for shoplifting.
Wait, hold on. The idea that the public commons and all the goods within it have been seized, and that gatekeeping all those commodities behind like a price gate is like not something that the proletariat have a right to circumvent at the expense of corporate entities.
Wait, Vaush, you've been fighting me on whether or not it's a socialist standard to pay people that do labor for you, but now you're about to say to me that a socialist standard is shoplifting? How are you going to try this?
No, oh my God. All right, hold on. We'll try this a little bit better, okay? No. My point is that socialist standard isn't what I care about. I care about doing good and bad things. If you cared about holding people to the standards of their ideology, you wouldn't mind when people who are pro-rape raped, or when fascists did whatever the fuck they're up to. You obviously don't actually care about holding people to the standards of their own ideology because you don't agree with everything every other ideology suggests people do. If you did, then you would be a moral relativist, and nobody likes being a moral relativist. They're cringe, okay? What you are is somebody who holds a higher standard for socialists. Or in other words, you make it harder to be a socialist than any other type of person. A fascist advocate, well, you wouldn't agree with them no matter what, and that's fine. And a capitalist just has to do whatever they want to do. This is kind of a DGG line, isn't it, right? Like, capitalists don't have to... Well, wait. Capitalists don't have to, reinvest all of their money or specifically, like, pay their workers the lowest wage possible or whatever, because capitalists get to defer to some sort of generalized mode of efficiency. Their moral claim isn't that they should exploit workers to the greatest extent or own private capital to the greatest extent. Their concern is just that they do whatever is most efficient for the making of business. But that's not really capitalism, right? Capitalism isn't just doing what's most efficient. There are a set of very specific positions on what is or is not acceptable within capitalism, which systems facilitate the best outcomes. But nobody gets mad at a capitalist for buying from industries that have been subsidized. This is one of the ways in which people have historically attacked socialists. You can't argue against our positions, so instead, you hold us to a higher standard, a monastic standard. We have to be these, monks. We have to walk the world free of earthly desire. Because if you wanted to, you could say, hey, Vaush, I know
you guys not walk the world of earthly desire. Wait, do I have people in here who unironically don't walk the world devoid of earthly desires? Do you guys like yearn for the warmth between someone's legs? Do you guys wish to have cash money in your wallets? What the fuck? Are you guys okay? Calm down. You know what? It was actually a pretty good point. I like it. Why the hell are there so many fucking walking guardians around this goddamn place?
It's not a gish gallop. It's part of a central point.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying you're going off. All you need to do is ask me, why do I hold socialists to the standards that I do?
I don't. But
I can explain it to you in a second. If you're not interested in that, why are we even having this conversation?
Because the conversation
if you want to have a conversation about some nebulous historical context or the thing that most of these people are talking about when they have this conversation, I don't know why you even chose to have this conversation.
Because the conversation that I'm interested in isn't in me interviewing you on why you think X about Y. I'm interested in explaining to you why I prefer my way of handling this. That is to say, not this hypocrisy socialist angle.
But you haven't even asked me what my position is and why I hold a socialist to a different standard on this.
Yes, I have. Wait, you've answered that like a dozen times over the course of this. You've explained it.
Okay, can you explain to me why?
Because you think that a greater level of awareness over the potential wrong that you're doing means that you have a greater moral responsibility to avoid committing those actions. You've said that directly multiple times. I'm listening to you.
And is there any? So do you agree that there is
to that.
So you are responding to the idea that in the difference between ignorance and malice, and whether or not they meet the same level of moral condemnation in our system? Because that's my point. Is that when somebody is doing something out of ignorance, let's say somebody accidentally dead names somebody out of complete ignorance, and in comparison to somebody that understands that the person has changed their name and actively dead names them, that these two things are a position of ignorance versus knowledge, and that these positions have different moral condemnation. The result is the same, but I would absolutely morally condemn somebody that is knowingly dead naming somebody more than I would somebody who didn't have any understanding and came to it from a position of ignorance.
And I don't think that's analogous to conversations like this, because you're not talking about a direct one-to-one action, a malicious behavior explicitly done with the intention of hurting a person. You're talking about a guy who made a lot of money live streaming, and far more, I imagine, than he ever expected. And now we're talking about like whether or not the amount that he's making means he should be doing more charity.
Yeah, Vaush is pretty right here. That like dead naming someone to actively hurt them is not the same as is not the same as just not donating as much money as you, I guess, possibly could be. What if you don't believe that that's something that you need to do to be like a socialist or something, right? I would imagine that's something that Arbitrariness would, right? What if you don't know that? What if you just don't believe it, right? I don't know why this would be like much different, if any, you know? Yeah, it's neither ignorance nor is it malice, right? It's not like he doesn't know, and he's not doing it specifically to hurt the socialist. He's not withholding money to hurt the socialist movement, right? Things are just different.
We're reaching degrees of arbitrarity where, to me, the better solution here isn't these strict moral condemnations, which I don't think facilitate good discourse, but rather a broader understanding that we should be socially normalized.
So that's what I'm trying to have a conversation about, is whether or not you like your position about.
I was trying to do that though.
No, okay. So then, I mean, because you were going off the whole time on your own little thing. I've just been looking for a pretty simple question, okay, in regards to this. What if, like, somebody like Hasan, right, whoever it is, again, I don't want to hyperfixate on Hasan. Somebody like Hasan who's making a shit ton of money looks at you, who says he's doing really good, and then sees no substantial criticism at all. You just say, hey, you're doing good, but you could do better. And he goes, oh, you know what? I'm doing good. Don't really care.
What if I'm seeing a family of four, a hardworking father who makes about $60,000 a year, and he notices that I praise him for how good he's doing, but he only makes time to see his kids for about 2 hours a day, whereas if he didn't go to the pubs on weekends, he might have the ability to spend more time with them. Aren't I facilitating like bad behavior by not condemning them for that?
No, because I wouldn't put the moral responsibility on somebody who's like middle class. I have to go out of the way to do that. Luxury, like going
to spend time with their kids.
With their kids?
Yeah, you need to be able to relax as an adult.
Wait, if you're middle class, you wouldn't say that people should be held to a certain standard when it comes to taking care of their kids and spending time with them?
They absolutely can. I'm just saying that it's not as cut and dry as somebody who...
Wait, so things not being cut and dry means that you become increasingly uncomfortable with setting hard lines for what is or is not acceptable?
Are you going to let me answer your hypothetical?
A little wacky.
I think you did.
Okay, so I didn't get all the way through it. Okay, so somebody going to a pub, that could be the way that they relax. That could be necessary for them to be able to continuously acquire income, to be able to make the household stay afloat, right? And that might be necessary to keep the kid fed. And if that is the case, right, then so be it. That's unfortunate, but that's the way that we let it ride. I don't think that is an apt comparison to like somebody who is making all of this money, who has all of this influence, who could just do a fundraiser. Not even like, I'm not even saying he needs to spend any money, Vaush. Well, the reason why I'm saying that he could do a fundraiser is because he has all of the means to, and this is divorce compared to the person at the pub, right? Somebody who's making $60,000 a year can't afford.
The means to spend more time with their kids, I think.
Okay, so if you want to make the argument, yeah, you could be spending more time with your kid or what have you, but the means to be able to spend more times with your kid there is significantly less than somebody who streams almost every fucking day and could afford to one day of the year, just do a fundraiser to be able to help people out. He doesn't even have to spend any money himself, but just politically.
Listen, honey. I need to go to the pub every day and only see my kids for 2 hours a day, okay? It's how I relax. I cannot spend more time with the kids. 2 hours a day maximum, all right? I heard a Twitch streamer say it once. It resonated with me a lot. But like in all actuality, I do think it is good to have like some time for yourself and everything. That being said, you have to make a couple of sacrifices if you have a child. You know what I mean? And I do think it is kind of, you should definitely go. There's another heckin' Lionel in there, man. You definitely should be going to spend more time with your children. I will say that.
Quickly activate his audience to be able to do so.
Do you think one is acceptable? Like, why only
I think
one?
apparently one, I'm having to fight tooth and nail to have a dude do one, so apparently,
well,
yeah.
Your fighting has no relationship with what he chooses to do or not. So in reality,
I
it's
disagree.
Not about...
Like, getting people to do things through, like, being able to say, hey, you know what? I think that, like, you choosing to not participate in fundraisers at X, Y, and Z rate is not something that we should encourage, and it's, you know, something I would consider to be bad. I think that absolutely can push people to want to do things like fundraise or what have you. I think that 100% can. I think moral condemnation can absolutely do that.
Okay, how's it working out so far? Because the entire right media sphere did this line with Hasan, and all it did was make him bigger, more popular, got him more money, and he tripled down on all of his positions. Is it working for you?
So I think the reason why the right like failed on this is because they actually make really shit arguments. I don't know if you were expecting me to like fall into that trap, saying that he like needs to give away 80% of his money. I'm not even making that argument, right?
You're right. He needs to give away 100% of his money. He needs to be broke as fuck, okay? And all of his donation links need to go to Tucker Carlson to donate to him. I heard his sponsors are pulling out. Tuck really needs it. He's on the ropes these days. He really needs it. But no, I don't know. I'm just, I think you can get all of the encouragement through encouragement and not moral condemnation on this specific point. I really feel like being like, hey, you're like a fucking piece of shit. Hey, you fucking disgusting, ugly, you're a fucking failure. You stink. And whoa, I can smell you from here. Stinky, stinky, smelly Hasan never gives his money to charity. Kind of disgusting. I think I'm, fuck. I think I'm gonna be sick. Like you open the stream. I open his stream while I'm streaming and I just vomit into my own lap. No regard for even my own personal sanitary like needs because he's so fucking gross. You know what I mean? So you're right. Socialism is one charity.
That's not what I'm making. To capitulate to the right, he'd have to give away his fucking house, his fucking home, and like fucking give away his like mother. Like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Give away his mother? Just watch your screen so he would change his behavior.
Are you really doing this, man?
No,
is this really your bit?
My point
is this really your bit? I'm just a small streamer, and you're just making a appeal to...
You're falling back on behavior.
Is that what you're doing?
Can you let me respond? My point is that you're falling back on behavior that doesn't seem to do anything other than like circle jerk to your mixed audience of DGGers over like Hasan's hypocrisy. When Destiny has made equally stupid arguments himself in the past about socialist hypocrisy house. Wait, stop. You keep talking about what behavior you can influence in Hasan, but that's literally not even a factor here. You and I can't influence him. He's beyond us. What we're talking about right now is what behaviors we can normalize in our communities. And as far as I can tell from you, as evidenced by your unwillingness to commit to a hard position on whether dads should spend time with their kids, or rather than spend time at the pub, it seems like you understand that it's really difficult to make strict moral lines when talking about supererogatory behavior or how much you can really expect of a person. And it also seems like your mode of behavior, your way of analyzing this, doesn't produce any better results than what I do, but it does lend itself to the same types of arguments that the right uses to attack the left all the time. So by any utilitarian standard, I would have to arrive at the conclusion that, unfortunately, yes, my less toxic, more productive, less infighty, less divisive, like, way of addressing these issues, when we ultimately agree, by the way, on the same outcomes, is probably the better one to adopt.
Okay, so because it doesn't feel like we're gonna make headway on that, I want to know, do you think that there's any comparable difference between what, like, where you're advocating for that people do and just like somebody posting on Twitter?
Well, I have a larger platform.
Okay, large platform on Twitter, a large Twitter account. Do you think that what you're doing is the equivalent of a large Twitter account?
Or like a random person on Twitter?
Like, no, like what I'm saying is, do you think that the outcomes with which and like what you are doing and what you are advocating that people ought do is pretty much the same thing as somebody just shit posting that capitalism is cringe on Twitter?
Well, no, I mean, I try to put forward better arguments than that, I think.
Okay, a good argumented shitpost about how capitalism is cringe on Twitter. Do you think that you're doing the same level of political advocacy as that?
If they were able to reach the same number of people and engage people to the same extent, then yeah, sure.
Okay, then do you think that we should probably hold people to a higher standard than somebody shitposting about capitalism on Twitter?
What's wrong with people shitposting about capitalism on Twitter? How would
doesn't really
socialism
affect
survive?
much. Well, I think socialism only survives if we actually put people to work and make
Who's
sure that
we?
we actually I'm trying to make okay. So I use comments like "we" because I consider some measure of left unity to be a thing. So I genuinely like the idea of socialists and stuff. And again, they're my number 2 option. I'm rooting for them. Okay, I'm not trying to leave them out there in the dust. So I would say "we" because I very much see us going hand in hand on this one. So that's why I'm using the word "we."
Well,
I don't want to be like
hand in
you
hand on
versus
which one?
us. We agree on 99% of things. Like Socdems and socialists agree on so many things.
Sure, but you know,
I was kind of thinking that. Why is a Socdem telling socialists what socialists should do? I was kind of thinking about that a little bit. That being said, I don't like the idea of gatekeeping that hard. I didn't want to bring it up. I think it's better not to gatekeep that hard, you know? He is to the right of us. That being said, I don't want to be like, shut up, fucking bitch. Ew, fucking actually give me my spit back. You don't even deserve to be in the direction of my spit. Activated. And then I turn my head 360 degrees and then they go, there you go. Fuck you, ugly. You know, I just don't want to. I just don't think that's for the best. You know what I mean? It's probably just better that we don't. But yeah, this guy isn't even a socialist. I'm not either, but I can tell his arguments make no fucking sense. Well, it's not like they, I don't want to say they make literally no sense. He's, I understand his point of view. I understand it. I just don't think it, what I care about most of what brings about the most change, and I really feel like morally condemning people for stuff like that doesn't bring about the most change. I don't think like being like, fuck you, ugly, disgusting piece of shit. I vomit just by looking at you. You look like you smell like curdled milk, dumbass. You look like what happens if I like cook something and then leave it fill it with water and then leave the pan on the countertop for the next like 3 days. And I come back and I wonder what makes the kitchen smell so fucking bad. And I got like a goddamn science experiment. It looks like something out of fucking Goosebumps that's about to eat my wife. Growing in my kitchen sink. That's what you look like, ugly. You know, I just don't think that's necessarily beneficial to our movement. You know what I mean? But I do think I agree with Vaush that you should be pushing for them to do more, right?
you know, I hate to bring it up, but I've noticed this odd trend of people with whom I agree on almost everything, and then I look at them and they spend all their time shitting on the left and misrepresenting our positions. So it's not about what we agree on, it's about what we spend our time doing. You know?
I'm assuming that's supposed to be a jab at me?
No, that would be Destiny.
Oh, okay.
It's the reason why people expect blood
tiny.
whenever we meet each other at a conference, but it turns out we agree on almost everything, and he's just incredibly, like, insanely spiteful online towards lefties.
That's tiny.
Okay. Sure. I could understand any animosity I guess you have there. I'm not really going to get involved in that.
That's stinky.
But anyway, so that's why I'm using the term we, okay? If you want me to use the term you, I can. I don't like otherizing the left, of which I consider to be somewhat closely aligned to myself. But yeah, we can use different language
that's
if you
fine.
like.
That's fine. I didn't know to what aim you were reaching at necessarily. But you were talking about having a higher set of standards for people shitposting on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know why we can't have a higher set of standards besides somebody shitposting on Twitter, because I think that's how we lose. We lose if we don't set a higher standard for, let's say, fundraising or canvassing and things like that. That's what we need to do to be able to set a higher standard.
If we can do it. But I think my way of handling this will produce that more.
So do you think people who make a bunch of money are going to wake up one day and just realize that because you're saying, hey, you could be doing better, they're going to actually do something? Or what do
you think they're going to wake up one day to find people shit talking them online and change their mind?
Yeah. I mean, that is true. Does Arbitrariness think that if Hasan wakes up one day and finds his channel and this is day 27 of Arbitrariness posting another Hasan doesn't want you to see this socialist hypocrisy meme video just dropped, and he's like, damn, I really got to change my mind. You know, I'm just not sure if that's really gonna be what does it either. A lot of that change comes internally, and you can provide them great arguments, and I'd implore you to do such. I'm just saying that, you know, I don't think this is, once again, I don't think it's as beneficial as he's trying to make it out to be. I just think it's unfair that all the people who say Hasan should do more don't account for him bring in people who are better at organizing and stuff to do things rather than doing it himself. Yeah, I guess it would also extend to funding organisms, funding organizations and stuff like that, funding organizing that he may or may not be doing, right? So that's what I'm thinking off the top of my head. It's 4 a.m. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think that like high quality and good faith discourse from people who are sympathetic to them and are just looking to like share some mutual improvement is going to move people over far more than like laughing at them and saying they're a hypocrite or whatever, right?
Right, so I'm not laughing at them or saying that they're a hypocrite. I've yet to do it here.
Well, I know it's moved me over. Lord knows I've changed some of my positions over the course of the time that I've been doing this, and never once has it been done by people online like accusing me of being a hypocrite because I'm this, that, or the other. It's always been like every single time people like sitting down and talking with me and making like a positive, you know, like what felt like a sympathetic and well-intentioned argument in my favor, and that does not even involve calling a person a hypocrite. I mean, that kind of just seals people off to you right to begin with.
I mean, if we could make that argument of that specifically, sure. I mean, everything that I've said in regards to like canvassing or fundraising has no hypocrisy. There's no hypocrisy angle there. The only thing that I even made it even somewhat of an appeal to was in regards to paying people that do labor for you. That's the only thing that I made that argument to. But I'm just trying to specifically address, like, I think we could be doing significantly better than a shitposting Twitter account. I don't think that we should leave the canvassing up to the people who are just millionaires or what have you, or people that make less money than, you know, people who are some of our most affluent. I think it is a damn shame that we live in like a country where we like one of the most wealthy countries where we have some of the most wealthy people that we have access to be able to change the discourse around, and we advocate for them to do nothing. Like that we have don't hold them to any kind of moral responsibility. We just say, hey, we just wish you could do something else. Like it feels like at that point we're just waiting for people to give us opportunities to canvass instead of creating our own opportunities to canvass and mobilize our viewer base or influence. And we're just hoping that somebody else does it, and then we can direct our audience in their direction. Why not do the advocacy ourselves? Why not advocate that we do that and by
it's
through moral responsibility?
The thing is that hasn't Hasan like already canvassed? And you can say he's canvassed, but you want him to do more, and he's done this, but you want him to do more, and that's fine. That's a fine argument, but like you can't just say like he's done nothing, he doesn't do anything. Because I remember specifically seeing him canvass for Bernie Sanders, isn't that right? Isn't that something that he did? He canvassed for Bernie Sanders doing the primary. He was doing some organizing there. Sure, there's like more organizing that he can do. I'd love to see him fund more organizing. I'd love to, if he had the if he reached out to some you know, oh my gosh, he's so huge. If he reached out to some goddamn, I don't know, like people who are on strike right now and offered to give, I don't know, like donate them like water bottles or something for their like picket line, wouldn't that be sick? That'd be nice, and like that's great and everything. I just you know, I'm just like, I don't know. I just don't think the super hard moral condemnation on something like this will do much, will mean anything more than just like shitting on someone. And I don't know, I just don't think shitting on people is usually that beneficial, especially if they're on your side of the aisle already.
And the hypocrisy angles that I disagree with. I have said on stream, and you can ask people in my chat, I've said multiple times that I do think Hasan sits on his laurels, that he wants to be like a workaholic, like frat boy, like lean there and react.
Here's the thing, like you can call someone shitty for that, and cool, great, proud of you, but does that actually move people over? Right? You can call someone shitty for literally anything you want, but does that actually result in positive change? Because if the answer is no, then it seems like you're not doing that to actually make the world a better place. It seems like you're just doing it because it makes you feel better. And that's the last thing I care about when it comes to this sort of stuff. So yeah, we can do that, but if there are no results for it, then I don't care about it.
Andy and never actually dip his toes in directly because he's, you know, I don't know if it's necessarily lazy because he streams 3 times as much as I do. It seems like more of a a willingness to carve out his own niche and not to dilute that by like making himself adjacent to more traditional political organizing, which is what you would do through fundraising or like canvassing or that kind of stuff.
Do you think?
I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good. I think he should do better than that.
Right. So do you think that by not, because maybe we're just going to disagree on the approach, because that's where it sounds like we're at, right? Do you think that like it would not encourage people into the future to continue down the same path if we don't set a precedent that this is not something that we should do, that this is a bad thing to do?
Well, you can't, I mean, the distinction between when does it become a bad thing to not do a good thing is really something I don't have a strong moral answer for. The only thing that I can really do, and I don't want to like be boring when I say this or whatever, but the only thing that I can really do is just advocate for people to do good things. Anything, I discourage them from doing harmful things.
Dark Bomb, thank you so much for the tier 1 for joining the frenzy and being incredibly pog. Very pog of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. We gotta fight this goddamn Hinox.
Anything outside of that, like some kind of broader discussion on when you do a good thing so hard that you need to be expected to do another gooder thing or whatever, which is kind of what we're talking about here, right? There's not even any illegitimacy to those arguments. Like I said earlier, I do think the Democratic Party takes up space. By arguing against Republicans, but doing so from like a tepid neoliberal angle, I think they make it harder for real left parties to form. I'm not arguing against the philosophy of doing good things in ways that leaves open bad outcomes or anything like that. I just don't like the way this is handled. And keep in mind, we're talking about this in the most like sanitized way right now, you know? Like, I'm looking at your YouTube thing right now, and that YouTube short that you have is you like scream laughing at a video, which is basically saying that Hasan changed his principles when he made more money.
That's also true. I saw that clip from Arbitrariness too, where it was like, where Hasan was like, doesn't a man deserve the sweat of his own brow? And then Arbitrariness was like, for like 30 seconds. So, you know, curious Mimo. Whew, damn.
Do you mind if I play that really quickly for my stream?
You can do what you want. Yeah, it's your stream.
Okay, really quickly. Okay, here, guys.
The grossly affluent is a moral obscenity, and our economic system inevitably leads to oppressive and exploitative power hierarchies. Redistribution is the only ethical option. But now that I think about it a little more clearly, is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? I think I heard that in a video game once. And you know,
he literally did the meme, dude. He did the meme.
Literally like, is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? Is a BioShock Andrew Ryan reference that is supposed to be libertarian, right? But actually, it is inherently socialist.
I mean, I won't deny that this is funny. That is true. However, I think the implication here is that Hasan changed his perspective on this because he got money, and I don't know if there's any way of demonstrating that, right?
I don't think there is either.
Demonstrating?
What's the point of the cackling? So what was the point of the cackling? This is my question now. Why are you cackling so hard? You know?
Think it, or you don't think?
I don't think there's a way of demonstrating that he's like. If there was, I would clip that. Like.
I don't know. It just this is like the tone of discourse that I see so often.
Sure.
You know?
So
it's like at the end of the day, it's like Hasan makes money. Look at how he defends himself. Look at the socialist stance.
If you want me to run down all of my grievances with Hasan, I can really quick, so that way you can have it all on the record, so that way you know exactly where I'm coming from. All right. So I think it is really shit how after the editor drama, he proceeded to talk about how he wanted to set up a co-op for his editors and the people running his YouTube. Then he proceeded to go on H3's podcast and then say he doesn't want to set up a co-op for his editors, not because it would be hard, which honestly, if he said that, that shit would be hard. Could you imagine trying to set up a co-op for like YouTube people? That sounds incredibly hard.
Yeah, like what that means.
I was fully expecting that. I would have accepted that, hands down, walked away, been happy. No, what he said was, it was like, because I am the primary.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, these guys are carrying fucking Metroid, man. You know, like that Metroid girl in that Metroid Prime game. It's fucking Metroid. They got Metroid in this game, man. That shit's crazy.
Producer of the content, I don't think a co-op would be appropriate. And I was like, I understand it, but like I really
there's
didn't
a legitimate
like
argument to be made there, right?
I think there is, but
the thing with the cooperative is that collective ownership is kind of the name of the game there. The problem though is that when you're like in a media org, like if you're a Twitch streamer or a YouTuber, you can never really have like a fair or equal share of what's done because there's one irreplaceable worker. You can replace editors, you can replace everyone, but you could never ever replace the person who's behind the camera, or in front of the camera, I'm sorry. So in that case, a worker cooperative would only really be like a shared payment structure, because in reality, there's no way for anyone other than the person in front of the camera to ever take that ownership with them. It belongs to them because of their face. That's why I don't have a worker cooperative. It'd be like a virtue signal. I do pay sharing for sure, but in terms of ownership, they could take the channel. I'm Vaush. It's an innate characteristic, you know? Yeah.
I understand. And the way that it came off to me wasn't the way that you said it there. And that's the reason why I had the grievance there. Now, I couldn't do it justice or what have you, right? It was just the way that it came off to me. That was a grievance that I had. The grievance that I had was that all of the arguments that he made during the editor drama clearly showed that he had no understanding about actual, like, socialism at all. He made the argument about how he gave his editor a computer, and that meant he had a means of their production.
I remember that. Yeah, I guess when I see that, I mostly just see that like Hassan's a dumb fuck who has his foot in his mouth 24/7. That's why he's so tall, you know, so we can reach and do the full fucking like wraparound. But I don't know, like if our argument is like editors should be paid like really well, I think that about everyone, not just Hassan. But nobody pays attention to the editors of other big YouTubers or Twitch streamers. They never even get talked about. It only gets talked about with like Hassan. It's like, so in a way, I think I'm just saying, in a way, it feels like this behavior actually normalizes the bad behavior, because what it's essentially saying is that, hey guys, as long as you're not a socialist, nobody's going to pay attention to whatever shit you're doing. You know, if you're a socialist, then you'll be scrutinized for it, and that's good. But if you're not, nobody will care. And if they do care, then you can just say like, whatever, free market, dude, and nobody will pay attention, because it's not actually about affecting good behavior. It's about the hypocrisy argument.
So this, again, I just want to address that specific.
I mean, a little.
So Not in my spheres, no. Oh. Like in the social democratic spheres, like the idea that like your editor should be paid rev share is like a commonality now, let alone paid at all. You have Socdems that make fucking $20 a month on stream paying their editors for videos and stuff like this. The trends are changing because of like we're saying that like,
wait, who didn't pay their editors before for videos? Everyone pays their editors for videos. Is he saying like full-time editors, like they edit for the channel all the time? Who didn't pay for their who didn't pay for their editors before? It's weird. I like everyone pays for editors. What are you talking about? Editors don't work for free. Well, some do. I've been approached by not only like editors, but like also artists who are like, I'll work for free. I'm not going to lie. For one, they're all great people. Okay, I've spoken to a lot of them. All great, fantastic, amazing people. I'm not going to lie. When someone comes to me and they're like, dude, Shark, I love your content, I'll work for free, I'm like, this shit's bait. This is like, I'm being baited right now. This is like a test. All right. And someone's filming right now. And if I say, sure, they're gonna post this on fucking they're gonna post this on Twitter, and it's going to get like at least 300 likes or something. There's gonna be like, socialist accepts free labor. That's what I feel like is going to happen. You know what I mean? They want to help, or yeah, the thing is, I'm not once again, like I say, they're all great people, and I know this isn't what's happening. I'm just saying that's the first thing that goes through my head. I know it's probably toxic, but also I know for a fact what they're doing is they like the content and they just want to help it along, and they know that they have some talents that could help. The thing is, I just can't accept stuff like that for free. No, I think if someone is really like, I'll just do this whatever for you, I'll you know, and they like would like to pay a little bit, like for me to pay like less, I'd be like, I mean, I guess okay, but I couldn't take work for free from just someone unless it's something like fan art. If it's something like fan art and someone just gives it to me, I think that's something that I can like possibly take. But if it's something that I specifically work with them to make, I can't accept that as just like outright. That being said, I don't know anybody who's ever like not paid their editors anything. I don't know how that's ever worked, right? You always pay your editor shit. Like, I don't think there's been a time where paying your editors isn't something that's like a super commonality in the like YouTube, Twitch sphere. You know what I mean? Pretty soft analysis. Yeah, like Hassan's like normie bait. And I think that's great. To each according, right? If something goes wrong, is like she felt in love with you, she's gonna expose you. Yeah, that's true. She'll expose me. Never send PP pics, boys. And if you do, send here's the goal, okay? If you ever send a dick pic, don't send your dick pic. Go online and find a dick that looks really similar to your dick. All right? So if you actually meet up, they won't be able to tell the difference. And send it over Snapchat where it deletes, okay? And after waiting 3 days in between seeing the picture and the real thing, just make it so they can't tell the difference between the two, and it won't be yours. It'll be great. You'll be pogging out, I promise. It's tried and true, tested method. It's good. I should start a site for that. Yeah, find a dick that looks like my dick. When you're on like a glasses website and you're able to show. You're able to like find put some glasses on your head. You should be able to do that, but with like dicks. You take a dick pic, and then what the fuck? This guy's trying to beat my ass. You take a dick pic, and then it does like an automatic match for dicks that look similar in the dickabase. The dick decks. It's like the Pokédex, but for penis. You know what I mean? I think this sounds good. Yeah, editor is a professional. If you're big enough to have dedicated editor, they generally are like an employee or contractor, right? Yeah, they're kind of like a mini employee, something like that. Don't ever take work you intend to use commercially for free. Mortality withstanding the right to pay them and to protect yourself. Yeah, it's kind of true. Yeah, what's your skin tone? Yeah, you type in like an inch. You type in like the inches. Honestly, this sounds like a kind of a good idea. Wait a second. I feel like this is a take I would get canceled for on Twitter, though. It's like saying that I'm bi because I date women and AFAB non-binary people. I feel like saying send women a dick pic that isn't your actual dick, but just looks similar to your dick, just in case if they if they like use it against you, it won't actually be your penis. I feel like that's something I'll get canceled for. But honestly, I say the same thing for women. If you're sending like a picture to a dude of inside of your vagina or something, I think sending them a picture of vagina that just looks similar to yours isn't the cringiest thing you can do in the world. I'm not gonna lie. Now, color me racist, but I think it's kind of smart. I think it's kind of schmoovin', you know what I mean? Where you're bi like Superman, literally just like Superman, actually. It's pretty crazy, yeah. Women do that, right? They send pictures of the inside of their vagina. That happens all the time. I would know. Yeah, use a giant. Dude, I am not making giant streamer dollars. I think I'm making okay money for where I am right now, but I am definitely not making massive streamer dollars. But maybe one day we'll make massive streamer dollars, right? You can wear turtlenecks. Silicon Valley tech bro. I already wear turtlenecks. I'm just not a Silicon Valley tech bro yet. Yeah, it's like build a cock. Build a bulge. Oh, okay. I'm on my grind set right now. Unironically, shark coin to the moon. The Shark Tank. I feel like that's already copywritten. I feel like we can only use things like the Shark Tank, but unofficially. You dumb bitch. You'll die. You'll die for that. You'll die for that. Idiot. You think you're all tough? Dumbass.
Like, you ought pay your editor. And I think that that is definitely influencing people's decisions when they come to talk about editor pay or what have you. And we're using examples and taking, note of other places where we consider it might have failed. Like, for instance, the Hasan editor drama or what have you, right? I think there is real substantial change going on there when it comes to people saying, hey, we ought do this, we ought not do this, and what have you. I don't know. You have so many people actively just this is starting to become the norm, and that's something good.
Sure, but then hypocrisy should never come into it, right? It should always just be people should pay their editors more. And I'll believe that it's becoming normalized when I see non-socialists getting more flack for this on social media. The bias is so hard against socialists that Hasan got fucking, like, mainstream media coverage over it, which is wild. Like,
I don't disagree with that. Yeah, that shit is ridiculous. Like 90% of the people that talk about this is talking about it in a trash way. I would never deny it. But the thing is, I don't know why that discourse needs to change in order for us, me and you, to have a conversation without all of that coming into play here.
Yeah, it is kind of just drama. Also, this place is pretty. What is that? Can I go there? But yeah, this place is pretty. No, yeah, oh, what the heck? But no, yeah, I do think a lot of these things are just kind of, a lot of it is just kind of drama. It does kind of suck that this is just kind of drama, you know? I think there's a discussion to be had here, but I think at the end of the day, you should go there. I'll try sometime. I think at the end of the day, this is just kind of drama, right? Like, let's be kind of honest with each other. Does this? Let's be a little honest, you know. And the thing is, I agree, but like we all agree here that we should be doing more. We should all be doing more always, and we should always be pushing each other to do more, right? But I think there's a big difference between doing more and morally condemning people who don't do this more, but we don't know necessarily like the more that it really is. Has like Arbitrariness given like a really clear answer as to what the more really is? He may have, I may have missed it. This is me genuinely asking. Like, what necessarily is the more, right? Because he said things like he doesn't pay his mods, and the thing is, there was a problem with him paying his editors, and there was a problem with him paying his editors. That being said, I think he pays his editors like fairly well now. He said it before, and I haven't heard the editors like complain about it since. And like after that, like I've seen him done organizing. I'd love for him to do more. And I talk about this every time I talk about our big political streamers, like Vaush, ContraPoints, H-Bomb. I'd love Sean. I know Sean literally doesn't do anything IRL, but I'd really love to see all of these guys like do more. Has Hasan done a charity stream? Genuinely curious, because once again, I don't watch him. No Sean, no Shark. It's great content for 4 a.m. Yeah, it's definitely good 4 a.m. content. What the heck? This guy spawned right in front of me. He's gonna beat my ass. Fuck you. Oh, he's just dead. What a loser. I cut his Achilles tendon. He's done for. He raised money for BLM once? No. This is me asking. I don't know. Didn't he do one for Palestine? Literally, I do not know. If anybody, if we have any Hasan simps in here, if you keep up with everything that man does, that 30-year-old man, please tell me if you know. Palestine and BLM, he's done charity streams? Okay. I can't recall. Yeah, he did raid those charity streams. I do know that. Is there a Lionel in here or something? What the hell is this? Oh, it's a Henox. I could see Hasan just saying charity is just virtue signaling. Do you think he would say something like that? Yes, he did a charity stream this year. Okay. Once again, the Hasan simp comes in to clear their daddy's name. That's good. That's good to hear. I'm proud. You guys are doing great work for him. It's good that he does that. I'm happy. Once again, I don't know. Maybe it's just that I'm not in his community ever, and I don't even follow him on Twitter, right? But I just haven't heard of it that much. But if he did do it, that's great. That's amazing, and I completely support that. So yeah, it just depends on the more that we're talking about, right?
Like, I want to be able to have a conversation, and I could keep going down some of the grievances that I have with Hasan or what have you, but like, that's more or less where it ends. Yeah,
well, again, keep in mind, I mean, I'm agreeing with the fundamental like position that you're holding here. The fundamental belief that you have that we should encourage good behavior. I mean, it's stupid to say, right? But that we should encourage good behavior. I completely agree with it. I think how you do it like matters a lot, though, and there are ways to do it that overlap with destructive elements of anti-left advocacy, and there are ways that won't do that. And I'm not trying to say that your arguments are stupid as fuck like Ben Shapiro's or whatever. I'm saying that using hypocrisy as a vehicle for impugning for impugning socialists, you know, like using that as like a means to assign them a greater degree of
can we take away can we take away the hypocrisy? Because again, I want to, Jesus.
Are you watching my stream? Did you see me not pay attention to my health bar?
Oh yeah, I thought you were playing hardcore. My fucking heart.
No, thankfully, no.
I was like, Jesus Christ. No, okay. So yeah, maybe we can talk, because again, I'm not trying to use hypocrisy for him for anything at all besides like not paying people that do labor for you, and explicitly just like throw his mons a bone. That's all I'm saying. And like, even still, if that language like fucks this shit up, I'll stop using that language if that's something you want to do, and if we can break bread on that, right? Like,
yeah, it's not.
But like,
at the end of the day,
I'm not using the hypocrisy. Is what.
Sometimes, I mean, okay, I understand how it can affect how you would respond to somebody's behavior, because if you think they're acting with like an element of malice, you might have to respond to them differently, because you know, different types of behavior require different types of responses. I get that. It's just with the actual underlying arguments, can you understand like the perspective that I have on this, or the feeling that I have, where it seems like overwhelmingly this conversation is only being had because people are holding socialists to a higher standard than like any other group? Well,
yeah, I do. But I think in certain areas that makes sense based on the argument that I made previously.
Yeah, I'm so glad Soros finally picked up on our stream and he started to pay people to watch it. Really bumped up the viewership. We gotta love it. Shout out to my favorite I'm trying to see how like saucy this joke can get. Shout out to George Soros. Let's not go too saucy here.
Previously, which is that they have a greater understanding of how labor is like. I mean, I don't think you would disagree that they have a.
Oh, also, personally, I would never expect to be paid for moderation. I do think it's great and it's nice for the big streamers to pay their mods, mostly because they 100% have the means to do so. That being said, I'm not sure how I feel about that necessarily. Oh, this place looked great. I don't think it's like, I personally, if I was a mod for a bigger streamer, I feel like it would just be like a fun thing to do. I would never expect to be paid for something like that. I would expect to be paid if I did editing. I would expect to be paid if I like helped manage content. I'd expect to be paid if I was like a manager, or I helped like set up things. If I helped like set up like debates or like talks or like things that happen in the stream, I would definitely be like, oh yeah, hell yeah, right? When it comes to being in just like, yeah, I don't know. That's just me though.
Greater understanding of how labor ought to be and is actively influenced by people that purchase it, trade it, or what have you, right?
Yeah, but isn't the technical consequence of holding people to a higher standard, if they're in the correct political movement, to discourage people from entering that political movement?
Yeah, you would potentially discourage people from joining that political movement 100%, or in a primarily like streamer fashion. I don't think very many viewers are going to be discouraged.
No, because it happens all over the board, and I know there are people in like the non-streamer, like regular people or whatever, who have experienced this as well, where when you're on the progressive side of things, you suddenly get held to a higher standard as well, you know?
Do you think a socialist billionaire can exist? Well, I mean, yeah, I guess you can do anything and claim to believe something. So yeah, I do think you can be socialist and a billionaire. The thing is, like, socialism isn't about have money. It's about like how that money is generated, right? And typically we say that you cannot make $1 billion without exploiting some labor. But I don't know, with like the type of ways that you can make money, I'm not necessarily sure if that's 100% true, that you literally cannot make like $1 billion without exploiting people. It may be true in like some, it may be possible, maybe. Right? But it's highly unlikely. That being said, if you're a billionaire, more likely than not, you've like greatly exploited some labor out there, right? Can we have a socialist James Bond? I think that we should. I think that we should. But yeah, socialism is all about like the relationship between like capital and the owner and worker class, right? Not like have money. You know what I mean? You can be, if you're like if you're like, I don't know, like an heir to a fortune, and the fortune is just like $1 billion of gold bars or something, and like an estate, you could absolutely be a billionaire and a socialist and not like exploit anybody for that money. You just you literally just gets handed to you, right? But we'd expect someone who is a socialist to do work to like bring about the world that they say that they want, and so we expect them to do other work, to do that, like donate, like organize, like do those sorts of things. But that being said, that's not inherent to socialism.
In a way, like, I'm not saying you're as sneeringly dishonest about it, but in a way, it's kind of like how conservatives will, you know, accuse you of assuming their gender when you're a progressive and you talk to them. Like, they try to hold you to a higher standard because they have a misunderstanding of your beliefs, and they try to do it, like, use it to make your life worse or whatever. Stuff like that. Like, with being a socialist, you know, if you really wanted to, you could hit a socialist for hypocrisy for anything. What about conspicuous consumption? That's, you know, it's a concept generally aligned with socialists, where they believe that the public consumption of commodities can be used to further deify, like, you know, capitalist, like, consumptive standards. So would you be like, oh, well, you know, you're a socialist, but I noticed that you drive a nice car. Don't you think you're participating in conspicuous consumption somewhat here? And then, like, it seems like because socialists have so much theory and they talk about so many things, there are so many potential, like, angles you could get one of them on. You know what I mean?
Well, so yeah,
for no benefit, like no good comes from this.
Well, I disagree with the no good comes from it, because if you believe in the principles holding people, so this just comes down to the difference in how we go about it. I think if you hold those principles, holding people to account on those principles will necessarily, if you believe in them, result in better outcomes. However, right, we may disagree that, like, holding them, what does it look like? What does holding them to those principles look like? And how does that manifest in discouraging people from participating in it and what have you? And I think that's where the real disagreement lies. I think because we hold people to a standard where if they, let's say we agree on $1 million discretionary income, that means $1 million after taxes, after rent, after everything, $1 million income, they should pay their mods a penny, right? Like, I think because we do something like that, like, obviously I'm being a bit hyperbolic, so you have to, you know, bear with me on that. But, like, if we do something like, I don't think very many people are going to get turned off.
I just don't think that's a socialist thing, like having money, like paying your mods. I think that's something like everyone should agree to, right? If anything, considering the fact that modding is usually considered volunteer work, and volunteering is something advocated for by capitalists, you could make the argument that paying your mods would be more of a capitalist thing, because capitalists are the ones who think that volunteering labor should be transactional by nature.
So to be clear,
recognize it as.
To be clear, I would apply this to Socdems as well. This argument about paying people like mods and shit like that, and volunteers and stuff like that. Like, for instance, I've had several people who have told me, yeah, I'll make emotes for you for free, and I'm like insisting that, you know, they give me a price point so that way I can pay them, right? Because I think that the labor that they provide, I'm benefiting off of it materially. I ought to provide them, you know, compensation for said labor.
Why not
right?
liberals and conservatives, right? I mean, conservatives advocate for charity more than like any other group.
Yeah, I would agree that I would hold them to a standard where in which, yeah, they should do those things, but I don't believe the moral condemnation I could give them would be equivalent, because they don't understand the ramifications of those actions as much as I do.
Wait,
they're ignorant.
They do.
I don't think they do. So I don't think
conservatives
that
and liberals aren't ignorant to the fact that when you give people money, they can buy things. Why are you infantilizing them?
Yeah, it's not about giving them money that they can buy things. It's about whether or not volunteer, like, you're going about that interaction knowing that the person who is saying, no, I don't want compensation for being your editor or compensation for being your emo artist or what have you, might be doing that from a position of, holy fuck, this person might find a new emo editor or a new video editor or what have you, and I really don't want to upset them, so maybe I'll just go without asking for payment this time.
I don't think that's something like socialists know. I'm pretty sure most people, if you... What? Like... I don't think this does sound like infantilization. Actually, it does. Like, oh yeah, no, they just don't know that when someone comes to you from like a disadvantaged position, that you could exploit them by getting free shit from them when they think, like, what are you talking about? Everybody knows the I'll pay you an exposure type thing. Everybody knows that meme. This isn't like a socialist thing. Oh, what the heck? Yeah, capitalists famously bad at knowing that they're exploiting cap. Like, I mean, come on. You know you're taking it. You know this. Even if you don't want to call it exploitation, I'm pretty sure you know that you're taking advantage of someone. I'm pretty sure you can say that you're taking advantage of someone. Like, absolutely. Wait, this is where you find like the Twink of Time outfit, don't you? Yeah, I found my immoral.
which is absolutely a dynamic present that I'm not too confident that many other people may understand.
Sure,
and
but
me
I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about like paying your mods. I don't think there's anything more socialist. I think that everyone like kind of ubiquitously knows.
But my point is that if we understand that that system might exist, we are going to understand that as leftists or people on the left, excuse me, more broadly than other people. Let's say like conservatives, they're not going to fully understand that dynamic as much as we are. That there are people who are like editors or what have you that, or at least disproportionately, this is the case. Of course, the conservatives capable of knowing it. Disproportionately speaking, we're going to understand that there is poor people or people who are editors or what have you, and incredibly.
I understand all that. This just seems like kind of the thing that leads to people being really shitty to vegetarians from both the non-vegan and the vegan side of things. You know what I mean? Are you familiar with that phenomenon?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, because omnivores will trash vegetarians because omnivores are constantly insecure about the fact that they're like, participating in the slaughter of animals, and they feel bad whenever they see a person not eating a burger because they get reminded of that. And vegans don't like vegetarians because they think they've compromised, that they're still willing to eat animal-derived products. Yeah, but they're aware of the fact that eating meat is bad. But they're not willing to go all the way. They'll still participate in consuming animal products. The consequence of this system, though, is that like people get discouraged from even dipping their toes into veganism because any like entryist point ends up getting swamped with people who are accusing you of not adhering yourself to all the moral standards that you're going to find from people further down the road. When it comes to like socialism or whatever, the reason why hypocrisy just isn't a thing on my mind is because it feels like that moral framework or even looking out for that sort of thing will only lend itself towards making your movement more difficult to like participate in and get up off the ground. You see this all the time with like woke scolding and gatekeeping on the online left as well, where the moment you become a leftist, you're expected to check your privilege and adopt 47 different fucking ethical understandings of the way in which being white is bad. But when you join the right, you don't have to learn shit. You can just be a dumb fuck and they'll just accept you, you know? And the consequence of that, even though you are encouraging better behavior from people on the left, is that the right is incredibly good at pulling over fuck tons of teenagers who have no understanding of this shit. And then the left is really bad at it. And the left, despite being better in every imaginable way, is fighting an uphill battle because we care about people being perceived hypocrites, and the right doesn't. They just accept people. That makes our movement weaker, and we're not talking about like crocheting clubs here. We're talking about who fights for the future of the world. A weaker left movement is a weaker world, in my opinion. So with all that being said, it seems like this, I don't know, this way of going about things, even if it doesn't have anything to do directly with spite, even if it's being done like purely out of altruism or out of a sincere desire to make the world a better place or whatever crap like that, it still seems like its outcomes are negative. So I have to find other ways of challenging this, you know?
I mean, I can disagree. I think that I agree with parts of your shit because it's just completely undisagreeable. Like, of course, it's only agreeable, I guess. You know what the term I'm looking for there is. Like, of course, making your movement incredibly hard to be applicable for most people to be able to quickly jump into is going to turn people off at high rates. But then you would
I do, yeah. It is a good argument that like, hey, you know, we don't want like a crazy barrier to entry to get into these topics. That being said, I know like a lot of other people would say that that's the price you pay for being in this like movement, or that's like, you know, a prerequisite for even being a part of the movement, right? And I know other people would obviously disagree. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm still of the opinion that I feel like just shitting on people typically isn't the best way to go about these certain like discussions. It doesn't seem to actually bring about good change or anything. It seems like more like people really like to feel like they're shitting on someone, you know? It feels good to feel like better than someone, you know? More than actually affecting positive change, which I think is really unfortunate at the end of the day.
We could make arguments about how we could morally condemn people in a way that doesn't trigger their, I don't know, their like runaway factor or whatever we want to call it. Their like, I don't want to use the word fragility, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, I think that we can absolutely make arguments that somebody is doing something bad and that they should be doing something good. And I don't think that making the argument that something is bad just stops as, well, it's bad and there's nothing more to that. I think being able to say that something is bad and morally condemn something is a key function in making an argument that we ought to do something else and the necessity to do something else. I think if we're making arguments that, hey, everything that you're doing is all right, champ, you could be doing better, though, it creates there is no sense of urgency whatsoever for that individual to ever improve. There is no incentive almost at all for that individual to improve, except for a double thumbs up or what have you. And I think that you're going to get a lot of people that are okay in that space of lacking of criticism. It seems like that's been the case. However, we may just disagree on the, I guess it would be the anecdotal experience that we might have in both of these approaches. I don't think that I have to get to the level where I'm arguing against the vegetarian and what have you, and saying that they're a piece of shit. And all that.
I mean, if that's not what if you're saying if people don't pay their mods, but then a person is like, oh, I'm a socialist, and then them not paying their mods, it suddenly becomes an issue. You're essentially procuring the same social effect, right?
What do you mean? No, I don't have to make the same arguments as other people that might make that argument.
Well, right, but if what you're saying is by joining up with a political movement, you are opening yourself up to new lines of attack for things you were not previously being attacked for. Yep. Isn't that kind of a passive discouragement against, joining up with that movement?
Oh yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, it's going to be. But I'm sorry for the dog in the background.
No, it's perfectly fine. We love dogs here. Or moreover, against like moving over at all, For instance, I know there are a lot of people who are sympathetic to like anarchist arguments, but like getting into that, I know that things get increasingly academic and esoteric, and it becomes like really, really, really difficult to adhere to a lot of the broader political stuff that they advocate for. And it's just
Wait, I'm sorry, 1 second, but I do have to ask, how do I find the Twink of Time outfit? I know like the old like green Dinkle like Tinkle fucking green outfit is here, or like you know what I'm talking about, like the classic the classic Link tunic. It's up here, right? I know for a fact it's up here. How do I acquire? For anybody who knows.
So difficult, and the right never has any fucking issue with this, by the way.
I mean,
you can be anti-gay on the right and fuck gay prostitutes out on the weekend, and nobody gives a fuck unless you're found out about it publicly. They do not give a shit about that otherwise, Steven Crowder fucks trans girls, is like a huge chaser, apparently, according to some people behind the scenes. So is Richard Spencer, and like nobody cares unless it's made public. That's like the only time people give a fuck, So there's no gatekeeping over there except on the farthest ends by the craziest people. But over here on the left, like it's like, you become a socialist, and again, like why not with the conspicuous consumption argument, right? I mean, if a person wore a nice shirt and they were a socialist, couldn't you argue that like they're spending their wealth in a way to demonstrate public consumption, which is sort of lending credence to the capitalist mode of production? No. You could make that argument if you wanted. I've seen socialists make that argument. It's so exhausting.
I mean, you could make the argument if you wish. My argument would just be that if you're stating a large position that this means of creating
allegedly, not apparently. Sorry, allegedly, all that stuff that I said.
I thought you said allegedly.
Okay, allegedly.
Okay, but you can make shirts or what have you, you can buy shirts from a place that you believe doesn't ethically source those shirts, and that isn't really an issue for me until it comes to the idea where in which you have the means to be able to buy that shirt in an ethical way, if you can, right? So if you have, let's say the shirt is $5, right, from an unethical source, but you make like $1 million in discretionary income and it costs $20. If you buy it from an ethical source, I would expect you to buy it from the ethical source at that point. I would say you have a moral obligation. Yeah, I would say you have a moral obligation to uphold that. Yeah.
Okay, so again, you would morally condemn a wealthy socialist for buying a shirt from like a typical big box store. Like if they got a shirt from like Target, you would see that and you would go, you had the option to buy it from an ethically sourced local co-op. Well, you just said that.
No. It's if they consider that to be a large part of like their political identity.
Why with the hypocrisy, why does what they consider for their political identity relevant? It's bad or it's not. And also all socialists consider like, the capitalist mode of production to be something that gets facilitated through.
Then we get into the in a society meme, and you have to be able to buy a shirt in society, and there's no fucking capital. There's no way you can buy a shirt without like doing the weird, like fucking paying for every single person's wage in a factory that you made, that you handed over to the workers, and
but you said
that gets absolutely ridiculous. I would condemn it if there's an ethical way to do it, and that's reasonable to be able to do.
Well, there always is. In the modern world, you can just buy anything from co-ops. But you're literally saying that if a person, like if you saw a socialist who cared about this stuff, who was wearing a T-shirt that they bought from Walmart or whatever,
and it doesn't have to just be a socialist, but yeah, it'd be anybody.
Oh wait, hold on.
What?
So you would say, you literally just said it depends on how much it's essential to their ideology. Why do you keep saying it's about hypocrisy and then backing off of that?
Wait, hold on. There's nothing wrong. Wait, do you think ideology only belongs to socialists? If you're, let's say, a conservative that believes that that buying goods, I guess, from a union,
then it is a hypocrisy-based argument. Yeah.
So yeah, but it's not about the hypocrisy of socialism.
But why does the hypocrisy matter?
The reason why it matters is because you have the availability not to.
Wealthy capitalists have the availability not to.
Vaush
And if they believe that
is
that's
this true, this feels untrue. I feel like you're lying to me. But if we do get a Vaush raid, that would be sick. What's up, Cross? Whoa! Oh my gosh, it's Vaush Vidians. Hello, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing tonight? Vaush raid, very strong, very huge. Hey guys, it's so nice to see you. What's going on? Hope you're all doing well. Did you enjoy Did you guys enjoy Ian tonight? Was he a good boy to you?
This meme is very real.
This meme is so real right now. We're busy watching Vaush and Arbitrariness meme on each other a little bit.
Real.
I think we're closing in on the end of the argument on everything.
This meme is very real.
Little wacky. Is he playing Breath of the Wild? No.
This meme is very real.
I would never play Breath of the Wild. That game's weird. That game's made by Nintendo. Ninbendo.
Very real.
Gato. Got him. He's literally done for. They'll never recover from that one. Is this Mario? No, I'm playing as Zelda right now. I'm hoping sometime we'll reach Ripley, though. I'm really excited for that guy. Queer Goblin Lass. Sick. Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime for joining the frenzy and being incredibly pog. I really appreciate you. Oh yeah, also, we have our own, it's not VGG, but we have our own like White Nervosa website. It's the first one. This is the first day we've ever started to use it. So you can do !site and you can come join the chat on stream right now. I think a lot of the people who were in there fell asleep. Because it is like 5 a.m. right now where I am. So a lot of my peoples are sleeping, but it's nice to see you guys. Join us. A couple of them are asleep, but we have someone's holding down the fort. They're great people. They're great people in there. Introspective Penguin, Nor Not Nom, good people. We love our people in here. It's 4 a.m. for me. Yeah, it's like 4:28. Honestly, I want to finish this debate and I want to be awake long enough to where I can just drive to my local McDonald's and pick up a sausage, egg and cheese McMuffin and a hash brown and a Milky. And so I can like do that and then I can go to bed.
This meme is very real.
Also, some Vaush people. There was also some pretty sick news. Earlier today, I got interviewed by an Australian journalist student about the online left, and I put in a good word for your boy. Okay, I put a good word in for the Vaushites. Okay, so if you get some good memes from Australia, no, that's just me. All right. Listen, thank you so much for the tier 1. I really appreciate you. I'm going to bed. And the Shark Boy emotes, hell yeah. Well, there's one thing that not everybody who subs right now gets their new name and emotes. So I messaged White Nervosa, so they should be on it as soon as they have time. But yeah, all day breakfast in Australia, hell yeah. But we got some good emotes still.
This meme is very real.
Great stuff. And this meme is so very real. You guys are so real right now. Much love. Thank you so much for all the support, everyone. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are great. Anyways, let's continue on with this debate, unless there's anything else that we need to do. All right, well, I'm gonna go to bed. Yeah, take care.
Shark.
Hello, have a good night. Yeah, take care. Noah Samson, thank you so much for the tier 1 for joining the frenzy and being incredibly pog. Okay, wait, what do you guys think? Has anybody played Metroid Dread? Is it a good game, and should I buy it for stream? Hello from Vaush. Hello from Shark. What if I bomb this goddamn bird? People, hey, hello. Play? Yes, it's amazing, amazing. Now, for anyone who isn't tainted by Nintendo nostalgia. Can you tell me about Nintendo? Can you tell me about Metroid Dread? Fucking Nintendoids coming in telling me it's a good game. Holy fuck, I'm a fucking menace to society, man. Did you see that shit? That was awful. Rob Birtheye. Hell yeah, buddy. Metroid Dread is really great from everything I've seen. Yeah, I watched Trihex play some of it. It seemed really sick. So I may have to try it out. Just woke up when he was ending stream and I sent him a video called You Can Always Leave. Did he cover it? I don't know. But you know what we will do? We will finish this debate. I'd like to, though. Did you see Destiny making fun of I did see Destiny make fun of
This meme is very real.
Lexi. I did see that, yeah. We touched on it earlier in the stream. It's pretty cringe, I do have to say.
Pog.
And honestly, it makes me less excited to it makes me a little less excited to see Destiny in Fort Worth come November. I will say that.
Shark.
Moonslots, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime and Star Floof. You guys are so nice. Star the Fulf. Thank you so much. You guys are so nice tonight. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the support. Don't Be a Menace. It was a good movie. I'm not a Nintendo fanboy. I haven't played Dread. Oh, but I haven't played Dread. I haven't watched the game. Just letting you know. I have no opinion on it. Okay, great. I'll make sure I write that one down. I appreciate it. Thank you.
A problem that unethically sourced shirts is a problem. They ought not buy it.
Does that make it not bad?
I don't think that makes it not bad. What I'm talking about is whether or not I can attribute some level of ignorance versus malice to it. If they recognize that it is a bad thing,
I don't think it's malicious.
I don't really care
to buy a T-shirt from Walmart if you're a socialist and could afford to buy it from a co-op online. These are explicitly hypocrisy-based. I don't know why you keep saying like it's not about hypocrisy, but then every time we talk about it, it is indeed about hypocrisy.
It's because the original conversation that we were having was not about hypocrisy. That's not what it was about. The Hasan situation was not about hypocrisy.
That is the thing that bothers me. It's when hypocrisy is used as a metric by which people attack socialists but not other groups.
I'm literally telling you that if a conservative or a capitalist had the same argument, that I would attack them as well. I don't know why you're honing in on socialists here. And also, I want it rooted in that, like, the original topic that we were talking about was not about hypocrisy.
Okay. The original topic that we were talking about was about what obligations we have to do good on our platform. And
also, like, once again, it seems like his argument is like, it is hypocrisy, but other people from other political ideologies can also be hypocrites in the same way. But it does seem like his main issue is the hypocrisy, right? Or am I reading that wrong? Let me know.
Your arguments were specifically influenced by the political beliefs of the hypothetical people that you were describing, which means that hypocrisy was the element. You're talking about hypocrisy every time. Like every time any justification comes up, it's about hypocrisy.
Do you think that if somebody holds a political belief, me expecting that they should carry out that political belief in reality means that I only care about hypocrisy?
If you think it's more bad to do a thing because the thing that you're doing doesn't align with your broader political views, then yes, that would be by definition an appeal to hypocrisy.
That is on the basis of your ignorance relative to the outcomes of the action. I don't think I can morally condemn somebody on the same level based on the...
Capitalists are aware that when you buy clothing from a big box shop, that you do so in a way that like feeds a broader capitalist system and like gives money to sweatshops and stuff. You're conflating awareness of a thing and moral positions on a thing. What the hypocrisy that you actually care about isn't whether or not you know that X or Y does a bad thing. It's about whether or not you care that X or Y is a bad thing.
Do you think that everybody who supports cops is knowingly participating in supporting the anti-black discrimination that is systemic amongst the police force?
No, but a lot of them.
Hold on. Okay. So I would make an appeal to those. So, I mean, I would doubt that, like, that on the face of it, but even if let's agree on it, nonetheless, right? If we agree on that, then I would be making an argument to those people that are ignorant of those, of that system. The people that are aware of that system, that's some chaotic evil shit, if you're aware of it. I think what's far more common is that
only changes their level of awareness, not necessarily the moral harm of the action or the potential outcomes of how you would address it.
I think it absolutely does potentially. Well, it depends on the way that you address it is massively different depending on whether or not somebody is ignorant or somebody's doing it in malice.
Why? No? What outcome are you trying to achieve?
So who's winning? I dipped out eventually when it happened live. Honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. This whole debate is fucking cringe. Okay, like I feel like all of this is just almost completely pointless. You know, I feel like everyone here agrees with all of the like core tenets, which are just like do good things, don't do bad things. But I just don't. Here's the thing, like I just don't feel like earlier in this debate, Relly, isn't that like Arrelevant's name, or is that just like a cute nickname that that people have for him? I'm not sure. Anyways, I feel like Arrelevant brought up a point that's like, oh, you think he's actually going to change, or like people are actually going to change if you just say, oh, you should do good things? And then Vaush was like, well, do you actually think he's going to change if you call him like a fucking stinky ass turd dumb fuck loser? Like your face looks like something on a fucking Goosebumps cover. Like if you say something like that, is that actually going to change his mind either? And when he couldn't come up with like an answer that's anywhere approximating a yes, I think that kind of was like, all right, well, I see where we are with this now. Oh no. Oh God, please. This is a dangerous situation.
This meme is very real.
Gosh. You know what I mean? Yo, so good night. Seems like a nickname. Yeah, okay. Okay, I guess it's a nickname. I thought it was his real name. I would have completely believed if his real name was Relly. And I mean, it makes sense. I've seen people with names like that, like their real name's something, and they go by something that's like similar. It would work out. How the fuck did you beat the Thunder Ganon in the first two? What are you talking about? Oh, you mean Vondaboris? Yeah, Vondaboris was actually the first one that we did, first divine beast that we did. And after that, I just decided to do Va Ruda, and that was fun. And now I have to do Va Dumbfuck, Va Mado, but I've just been putting it off because every time we've been playing the game, we've been listening to debates, and so I haven't been able to like listen to the soundtrack and the voice lines, and I don't want to like go through another like actual story cutscene until I actually have time to enjoy it and not listen to two people argue while I'm trying to enjoy the game. I did pay money for this, so I would like to enjoy it while I play it. Not that I'm not enjoying it now. I'm just saying, like, when story elements come up, I want to, focus on that. That's the hardest for me. Everyone said this after I finished it, and I was like, man, that was kind of a hard one. Everyone was like, bro, that's the hardest divine beast in the game. Why did you pick that as the first one? I'm like, listen, I didn't pick Vondaboris to be the first one, okay? It chose me, all right? How am I not supposed to go to the Gerudo? You seen them girls? The Gerudo women are freaking banging. Have you seen their thighs? They're freaking gorgeous, man. How am I not supposed to be drawn in, all right? That was like a Coomer death trap, all right? That was a Coomer death trap. There's nothing I could do. Is the cute twink game? This is the twink of time. We are playing as the twink of time. Many people are saying this. Thick thighs save lives. Hell yeah, they do. Thunderblight's def the hardest out of the four. Really? Yeah, people kept saying Thunderblight Ganon is the hardest one. Squirtblight Ganon was annoying, but Squirtblight honestly wasn't too bad. I'm ready for Waft Blight, and I'm ready for what's the other blight? It's the Squelch Blight. Yeah, over here, Squelch Blight in there. Cockblight. Yeah, then I have to fight Cockblight Ganon. I'm really worried about that one. Water. Yeah, Squirtblight. Hello? Oh no, fuck. Wait a second. Anyways, play the debate.
By handling it differently.
The changing of an action, whether or not somebody's doing something of malice or of ignorance, if they're doing it of ignorance, I could educate them and they have a fair chance.
Why are malice and ignorance the only possible options here? Do you
because
think that animals have feelings?
Yeah.
Okay, do you eat meat?
Yes.
Okay, is that malicious? When you buy the meat,
yes.
Are you thinking, hey, fuck these chickens? Or instead, is it just a little evil to which you have become acclimated? Something that you don't think about all the time, something which has become systematized, normalized. This is how it is with big box stores too, after all, right? I've bought from Target. I was a socialist before I was wealthy, and I still have been known to buy from Target. I don't go there thinking like, yes, this mattress spread. I hope the Chinese slaves who made it have arthritis. The malice implies, and because we're circling back around to Hasan here, I think, that when Hasan, doesn't do a charity stream, he's doing it maliciously. Like he's cackling when he does it, as opposed to the real answer, and I think this is much more descriptive, by the way, which is that he's a dumbass, and that he does whatever he wants. and that our goal should just be to guide him doing whatever he wants towards the most like ethically beneficial outcomes, right? Like we should guide him, but the idea that he's going to be more responsive, or that anyone in the socialist community is more responsive to like it's Hasan hypocrite, not pay mods more money. He bad.
So
Like,
hold on.
I just don't think it's effective.
So I'm just wondering, like, how could I levy criticism then? If I cannot morally condemn an action, how could I criticize him?
I do. I've said I think that Hasan. I literally called him. I've called him an idiot like 3 times in this convo.
Well, there's
I've said that
nothing.
he's
Well, hold on.
lazy.
There's
I've said that
nothing. There's nothing wrong with what he's doing. So who cares?
Sure, but he could always do better. It's true. What he's doing is good. He's doing a good thing, but he could always do better, right? I mean, you can always push him to do better. But there's a difference between
But
how
there's
I do
there's
that.
no obligation for him to do better. So why would he ever do better?
You don't have the ability to enforce an obligation on him anyway.
I'm
Neither
not
of us
trying
do.
to. I'm not trying to enforce an obligation onto him. That's not what I'm trying to do.
When you say obligation in a practical term, obligations have to have.
It's on top, so it's fine. That's true. People who I find sexually attractive, people who I want to have sex with, can basically do whatever they want. That's how this works, right? Like, right?
Ability to be enacted. There must be consequences for like in a social sense.
Criticism.
Okay, but I criticize. There's a difference between obligations in the sense that like you think a person has a moral ought to do something, which neither of us have a strong answer to, and my moral framework doesn't even have the ability to answer, and an obligation in the sense that we should expect people to do that, and I do expect them to do that, but the way in which you handle that matters.
I don't disagree in the way in which we handle that matters. It seems like we disagree over what kind of criticism we can levy against him, though, and like in what way we can go about it, and in what manner we can go about it.
Yeah, you're right. They can do whatever they want, and specifically, they can do whatever they want. To me, come here, girl, please. I beg of you.
About it.
Well, you cannot deny that in lieu of the environment we're in right now, which is this huge wave of right-wing media attacks against Hasan for being a hypocrite, that I might think there's a better way of handling this, right?
Yeah, you could think that there's a better way of handling it, and I could as well, because I'm not using the same arguments that the right-wingers are. I wouldn't say because there's a bunch of people making shitty criticisms of a person, that means that I shouldn't criticize them because, well, other people are making shitty criticisms.
I mean, you're still making the hypocrisy argument, right?
I would make, not relative to the same way that all of these conservatives are. No, these conservatives are making the, well, no, because you're reducing it down to that.
I'm making the hypocrisy argument, but I'm just doing it better, though. Like, okay, I do agree that his hypocrisy argument is better. It makes more sense. I don't think it's great, though.
You're saying you're making the hypocrisy? No, not in nearly a comparable fashion to any conservative. All of these conservatives are saying he's hypocritical because he's a socialist that makes money. There is nothing hypocritical about being a socialist who makes money. Nothing at all.
You've said there's something. Okay, do you think there's something hypocritical about a socialist who makes money, who doesn't use that money to further their political platform?
No.
What? Wait, what was the hours that we've spent listening to this for? Wait, what? Wait, what? What? I'm so confused. What are we talking about? What's the point of this then? What's happening? Isn't that the whole point of like what's been going on? What we've been doing here? He did it for clout. I don't want to say that he did it for clout. I feel like I don't want to assign too much malice before that's proven, because it usually doesn't end up very well for, like, you know, positive conversations. That being said, this feels a little bit cringe. I feel like this is posting cringe. I thought that was like the core tenet of the argument, which is he is hypocritical and he's doing something wrong by not using his money to further his goals. Unless like Ahrelavent is about to completely retract that statement, I don't know what we've been talking about this entire time. He immediately went on a call with Destiny? Oh, okay.
Then I guess I'm a little bit confused, because I was under the impression...
It's because I haven't been arguing about hypocrisy this whole time.
But then you have been, though.
No, I've been arguing that we ought to hold people to higher moral standards. That's what I'm saying.
So then can you understand my frustration when you're making the argument that this is something we should be ubiquitously doing, except I've never seen you talk about it except before Hasan. Your last 3 videos are on Hasan, and nobody's talking about it in the context of anyone anywhere except for Hasan, and it's always Hasan, and this is the 13th conversation I've had about Hasan. Like, well, I swear, I defend this guy more than his mom must. Like, I don't even fucking watch his shit. Like, in the context of all that, you cannot deny that you are contributing to this overwhelming slant. And even if your arguments are more nuanced, and I won't deny they are. I mean, you're up against the mental fortitude of Ben Shapiro here, so I certainly fucking hope so. But even in the context of all of that, it's still, from an outside perspective, at least to me, it still just seems like, yeah, socialists should be held to higher standards than non-socialists because they think that being bad with money is more bad than capitalists think being bad with money is bad. And that it just kind of comes down to it, right? You can build good arguments around that, but that's the core. Holy shit! That's the giant thresher. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I didn't mean to shout like that. That was very
No, it's fine. Like,
It's the thresher.
It just has to do with like your political philosophy and what you believe, what I can consider to be reasonable relative to it. I will hold you to a
Yeah, he thinks Vaush got clapped by facts and logic. I mean, we live in different worlds, right? It's like, it's like, remember that episode where SpongeBob had to work at the rust bucket? The chum bucket? And him and like Mr. Krabs were like singing from across the road. This grill is not a home. It's not the place I know. It's kind of like that. We live in different worlds. Us and DGG. You know what I mean? It just kind of be like that. I'm not VGG. I think I've typed at least like 17 words in VGG for my entire life. So I'm not gonna say that I'm like VGG or anything. I'm just saying that we do indeed live in different worlds.
specific standard. I think that that's fine. However, that specific standard there should be like basic human standards, but also there's like educational standards that I expect like a socialist to meet in comparison to like other people. So like,
then that is the stop saying it's not a hypocrisy argument, but then say that is a hypocrisy argument.
Okay,
we keep running around that in circles.
Can you explain this to me? Then how is it a hypocrisy argument for me to expect a socialist to know about, let's say, welfare, disproportionately speaking, relative to a conservative?
Anybody who talks politics at all should be aware of like welfare, right? I mean, that should be like a ubiquitous
Well,
thing.
they should be, but that's not the reality. However, I don't think it is obtuse for me to expect that a socialist knows more about welfare than a conservative.
This is the thing you keep doing, though. You say that a socialist should know more about something, but you're not actually talking about what socialists know about. You're not talking about what knowledge they have. You're talking about their moral positions. I would appreciate it if you quit. Stop, because you keep doing this. It's like, well, a socialist should know more about X. Why? Why should a socialist know more about X? Why should a basic belief that society should be controlled by the workers mean that you're familiar with esoteric government policy that barely anyone from policy wonks really understands how they work in this country? What you're saying is...
Do you want me to answer that?
What you're saying isn't that socialists know more about it as a group. What you're saying is that socialists have different feelings about it. It's not a knowledge gap. It's a moral difference. And you're saying they're betraying that moral difference. That is a hypocrisy argument.
Okay, so can I respond to the original claim? So the reason why I would attribute that like socialists may know more about X, Y, and Z is because it is closer towards or encompassed by the tenets of what I would consider to be somebody who labels themselves a socialist. So if somebody identifies as a socialist, they're probably going to know about the means of production. Do we agree or disagree about that? Like that's probably the case, right?
I mean,
and
if a person's a capitalist, they probably know about like welfare. Don't you just know about welfare if you're poor in this country? I mean, you would know about it just tangentially if you grow up in any family that had to benefit from it.
Sure, but like my whole the part of this that I feel like is getting lost is that a socialist, right, doesn't get just, typically speaking, naturally just occur inside of our society. You have to undergo some kind of political education, some political reformation. I mean, it seems like right now there's a pretty big tendency for you to come out as a capitalist.
Okay, let me
do you disagree?
This meme is very real.
Well, sure, like you can come out as a capitalist, but at the same time, I don't think you need like a lot of political theory to be a socialist. All I think you need is like a good push and an inclination to care like more about workers, and that's like it, right? Because at the end of the day, like you could think, oh yeah, someone could say, don't you think like it would be better if like we owned this business and not like dumb fuck McGee who literally does fucking nothing for any of us? And they go, yeah, that sounds good. Well, congratulations, you're a socialist. You have no other political ideology, and then there you go. It's just being an anti-capitalist. I don't think you need much more than that to get there. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I know exactly how. I feel like they're going to like go around in a circle for a while, and then Arbitrariness is going to go on. Please don't waste the arrow. Then Arbitrariness is going to go on to Destinies, and then they're going to be like, bro, these socialists don't even care about anything. They're like, cringe, dog. Ain't that right? And he's like, yeah, I guess so. We don't hold anybody to any standards, and our movement's going to die. And it's just going to be like that over again. You know, it's just they're so cringe and they're white. You know, don't care, didn't ask, plus you're white. I feel like it's just going to be that over again, you know? Yeah, basically. I mean, it's easy to know how these things go. You can read the script already. It's not like it's not like we're looking at some really in-depth political analysis going on right now, right? I mean, we see the writing on the wall. Yeah, don't care, didn't ask, plus you're white, plus ratio, you fell off, and you're ugly. Also, Thresher reminded me, do I have any like skaters in here, or people who pretended to be skaters in like high school? Did you guys like remember when like all the cool kids wore a Thrasher? Fuck, I missed. Fuck. No.
We can cut to the heart of this.
Okay.
Do you think that it is equally bad for a socialist and a capitalist streamer who both know about the working conditions of poor people to not pay their mods?
Yeah, it depends.
Because if
the reason
that depends means this is a hypocrisy argument. Because you keep saying it's a knowledge gap, but if they have the same level of knowledge on it, then it's not a knowledge gap, it's their value system.
Well, no, you said the same level of knowledge about like worker exploitation.
Their same level of knowledge about everything related to the issue. They just disagree on it morally.
Oh, everything related to the issue? Then no, yeah, I would not, or then I would attribute the same thing. I thought you just said worker exploitation. There's more facets than just worker exploitation than that.
So if a socialist and a capitalist like YouTuber knew the exact same amount about everything, they just had different moral positions, you would say they're both equally acting it out of malice if they don't pay their mods or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's a little bit unfair that you automatically assign a greater degree of knowledge to socialists then? If it's the knowledge gap that bothers you.
Absolutely not.
Paying your mods, I don't really know if that has anything to do, like an understanding that paying your mods is good. Like by that metric, you could say that socialists instantly, by innate knowledge, have more knowledge on everything relating to do with poverty and the economy, because socialism is an economic system and they tend to sympathize with poor people.
I don't think that's true. I think it tends to be that conservatives are going to have a greater understanding of how the stock market works than socialists.
I guess it just seems like if we're really reducing this to a knowledge gap, you found a way of like putting the hypocrisy argument one further. Like it's not the hypocrisy argument. It's just I assume socialists will know more about all the things that I will.
Well, I don't think it's wild to assume, to not only assume but also like have evidence for like the knowledge of these specific things. So like this, I would use this in reference to.
I just think
what I said. Come on, I'm using this like for instance in reference to Hasan and the editor situation, where he's saying that like he gave his editor the means of his production by giving him the. I'm not denying
computer. That was stupid as shit.
And the reason why I could condemn, in my opinion, him more for that than somebody else is because he has a level of knowledge about it. He has a level of knowledge about giving people the means of his production and what the means of the production mean in regards to liberating the workers. And I would argue that is not just something that people are born innately with, that they just have any knowledge or what have you over it. That I condemn him more because he claimed to be somebody and prescribes or states that he is somebody that has a measure of knowledge on it and clearly didn't.
Yeah, well, I agree that it's okay to condemn him for that thing that he said, but I'm just talking about stuff regarding like whether or not you should be like donating money to causes or whatever.
But I think the reason why I want to talk about the computer thing is because that stems from, in my opinion, his knowledge of the situation. If he was somebody that didn't know anything about the means of production, I let that shit slide.
No, I agree that, but you assume a greater degree of knowledge, and I think that you assume way too little knowledge from like non-socialists. Like you really don't fucking think that like liberals and capitalists and conservatives don't know like that they're mistreating their workers when they do X or Y. I think they don't have like a broader ideological framework to insert that analysis in.
I can cite Ethan Klein literally and Hasan having a debate on this on their podcast where Ethan was like, no, I think it's a fair wage to not give your editor rev share. And they had
economists have more knowledge about capitalism than socialists, so they should know better. That is true. You're right. They should know better. But then it's like, oh, but they're working through a completely different framework, so they don't think it's bad, I guess. I don't know. It just seems... Let me ask you guys, is there much more that we need from... What about socialist economics? Pog. Communism. Is there any more that we can glean from this debate, or is this just about it here? And do they just kind of go around in circles until the end of time. How's that work? And until they're like done. The economics is made up. It's fake. 3 hours? Yeah, I don't think we need to listen to all of this for 3 hours. Let's see. We'll skip forward a bit.
Here, I guess the substantial difference that you're seeing between the position that because I could take your rhetoric, because that's what we're disagreeing.
Please.
The
I'm not
idea
opposed
that
to
the buck
condemnation
stops-
as a concept. I'm opposed
Please.
to be, well, I'll put it another way, okay? I don't think Hasan is a hypocrite for buying a house, but if you guys wanted to call Hasan like a frat boy shambles, apparently find every reason not to push for anything. You should.
Oh,
and
then
if you're
he
doing
read
long
like the
drives all the
Hanz
time when you don't need to,
shit.
you should stop doing that.
The
I'm not
idea
opposed
that
to
the buck
condemnation
stops-
as a concept. I'm
Wait
opposed to the idea that that's like, it just seems like your condemnation first, results second, and I'm results first, like condemnation if necessary. And the condemnation is so
That point for
obviously
about 3
objectively
hours,
not
yeah.
fucking working in this situation, apart from leading to the perpetuation of this infantile discourse where Hasan continues to make $10 trillion a day while I get to sit here defending him because people keep coming to me asking me whether or not socialism means houses. Or in your case, whether or not hypocrisy is, isn't, or in a quantum superflux might be an essential component in determining whether or not a thing is harmful. It just goes on forever and ever and ever, and it's clearly, condemnation is clearly not arriving, like we're not doing it. So the best I can do, what I'm going to do with my platform, is I'm going to say, hey folks, if you become a socialist, all the things you've been doing before,
Just post on Twitter.
I don't know why you keep deferring to that. Like there are two options, and it's posting on Twitter or saying people are bad for doing things non-socialists do.
Okay, we all know at the end of the day there are two socialists, all right? Twitter poster and racist. And honestly, there is literally no in between. So I think Arbitrariness and everyone should just kind of get used to it, because this is politics now. Fuck you. All right. I think that's about all that we can glean from this debate. I feel like that's about it. So I'm gonna exit out of that, and I think that's I think that's just about it. He doesn't use Twitter, so he's kind of in the middle. He emails, which is basically like boomer Twitter, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. So he's Twitter poster, as far as I know. And Slavoj Žižek, he's racist. And disagreeing with me also makes you racist. Fuck you. The two dualities. Ahrelavent was dumb salty at the end. Yeah, he did sound pretty salty and pretty upset. And then like even Hanz like subtweeted Vaush the entire time, I guess. Because that's what got us into watching this in the first place, is that Hanz was like, I'm not a socialist anymore, because be a socialist, you don't do anything. Actually, I'm a Socdem now. I used to be a socialist, but I'm a Socdem now. Also, none of my views changed. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? What's happening right now, man? Why can't we have anything nice? Why is having nice things also always forbidden for us? Hanz has turned toxic fast. I do think he's turned a little toxic. I don't know why. And because of that, I don't get to finish my first D&D run ever. At least for at the time being, I don't get to finish my first D&D run. Because me, Hanz, Riverboat Jack, and Sansol, all of us had a D&D run going. And it was actually, like, unironically, my first time ever playing D&D. And I was having a good time. And now we don't get to do the D&D run because like Jack and Hanz yelled at each other, and he was pretty mean. And so now I don't get to finish up my character, which is sad. So honestly, you know what we should really be thinking about, okay? You all think about like optics. Bitches all be thinking about optics and rhetoric. I'm just thinking about how am I gonna finish Riker, my D&D, my first ever D&D character. How he's going to avenge his family and meet his friends again. That's what I care about. What was your character? He's like a half elf warlock. His name's Riker, and his backstory was he was like a sorcerer, and he what was it? He had like lightning dragon lineage or whatever. And so when he was younger in his village, he was like testing out his like lightning skills. He was like trying to show like his friends and everything. But he accidentally messed up and then hurt one of his friends permanently. Like he got scarred. He like really hurt him, but he couldn't come to grips with that. And so instead of like, and he thought that everyone hated him, even though they didn't. So what he did was he ran away from home, and he's adventuring like the countryside and everything, and helping people out where he can, and working to like train his skills to be like completely proficient in all of his like sorcery until he can feel like he can do enough good to like return home and be like in control of his powers enough to not hurt anybody who doesn't deserve it ever again. And so that was like my, and that was like the character arc that was going on. So an edgelord, shut the fuck up. He wasn't like edgy. He wasn't edgy, but he cared a lot about people. He wasn't like emo, like fucking Tokyo Ghoul edgy, okay? I wear long shirts under my t-shirts. Fuck you. Bro, it's not super edgy. What are you talking about? Oh my gosh, I hate you people. All characters must have a tragic backstory. It's not even that tragic. I never watched Naruto. I don't know what that means. I've gone on a grand quest to redeem myself and I finally returned, guys. Bro, what the fuck? We forgot about that. That's actually the story that I wanted. I was like all the turmoil and stuff that he was going through, even though he did hurt someone, they actually forgave him a long time ago and they just wanted him to come back home. But he felt like that he did something so wrong that he couldn't like face them again. But it was actually all in his head. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a cool idea. And now I'm being called fucking Tokyo Ghoul XD edgy. And I'm like literally crying in the club right now. Yeah, you people? What do you mean you people? Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Very interesting exploration of trauma. Thank you. This is why we love Sharky.cc chat, okay? .cc chat is kind and supportive. Twitch chat is mean. Fuck you. Bullying my D&D character. What the hell? Your character is valid. Thank you. What class were you playing? I'm pretty sure he's a sorcerer, if I remember correctly. It's been so long. Warlock is the like most edgelord class, really? Once again, this is my first ever time playing, so I can't tell who's cringe edgy. Yeah, they're fun. It was pretty sick. It was a really wild D&D run, and I wish I could kind of bring it back, but I don't know.
This meme is very real.
Things been wacky recently. Why politics gotta pull people apart? Why can't we just be goddamn normal? You know what I mean? You ever think about just being fucking normal? But apparently no one's ever thought about that before, and it's just unfortunate. So about the D&D, bud? Your character. Oh, what's up, Hans? Your character was great. It's fine. I just like, I don't know why everyone's fighting all the time, you know? I don't know why everyone's fighting all the time. I feel like there's literally no reason for it. Even what we just listened to between like Arbitrariness and Vaush, I feel like 90% of it there wasn't a real reason to fight over it. You know what I mean? There's no and especially there's no reason to like start calling each other names. I feel like Vaush poked a lot, but you know, I feel like there's no I feel like we're burning bridges and being like disrespectful to each other for no real reason, you know? I feel like a lot of people have just been recently going for dunks more than trying to listen to the other person. If your argument is good if your argument's good enough, you don't have to go for dunks. Like the person will dunk on themselves. Oh, leave me alone. Gosh, I just sliced the bees in half. Normal, normie, cringe. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just grill. And the thing is, I don't even know if I'm in like just grilled territory, you know, right? Twitch chat is mean. I mean, if you didn't expect that, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I'm literally crying. Yeah, like I don't know. I just feel like it's been a little much recently for no reason. I am glad that I took my break though. I'm happy I took that break for a couple of days. It did help me like reorient myself, and I feel a lot better coming back and everything. We should do normie shit together at some point. That sounds fun. Gotta sleep? Yeah, take care of yourself. Yeah, I don't know. Strange. Everything's been strange recently. I don't know what to say. What do you guys think? Is it always like this? Is it always going to be like this? I guess is what is another question that we'll ask. Cause I just think I don't know. I'm not saying that I came here specifically for a community. I mean, I guess I've built my own community, right? But
This meme is very real.
I still don't know why things have to be this way. I just want to take a pallet and holy shit, but nobody sees. Oh man, I can't find a group. Oh, sorry about that. He also hosted Chapo's Palestinian meme. Yeah, he did host Chapo's Palestinian meme. That is true. That's the thing, right? Since leftists are typically critical, more critical than people on the right, we tend to have a diversity of opinions. Yeah, diversity of opinion is honestly the shittiest thing that we've ever come up with. Honestly, we all should just have one opinion and just stick to it. Not gonna lie. Diversity of opinion has been the worst thing for politics. No more diversity. You know what? That's it. I've done it. I've come with the true big brain take. I'm coming out against diversity. I hate diversity. It's awful. I am now an anti-diversity streamer, and I'm done. I'm sick of it. Diversity only leads to strife and turmoil. We must go to hive mind. We must move like fungus, okay? No more malice, only mycelium. We grow like fungus, one mind, one body, and we must all continue in this fashion, all right? That's what I'm like. Hive mind arc. Only one. Move like mycelium, boys. Move like mycelium. If you think that you think differently than the person to your right, change that and think like they do. And if everyone does that, we'll be on the same page. And I'm thinking, honestly, as long as the person who's the furthest right, furthest to on your left or on your right, depending on which direction we're looking, not politically, just the direction that you're looking, I really think that this is going, you know what? Fuck Andrew Yang's forward party. I got a new F party, fungus party. You're right. I'm down with it. Hive mind individualism. We're all an individual, okay? We are one individual and we're different, built different from everyone else. Because we're together. Fungo boys, shroom boys, roll out. Fungus party. Yeah, let's go. I do love the soy point emote. I'm not gonna lie. I had that idea while I was putting together the emotes and I was like, I really think the soy point emote is going to like turn out really well. And it honestly has. It's turned out so well. I was like, I really want memes that people can like use, you know, like memes that are like people can use it to make like other like memes in chat. I love like Build-A-Bear memes, Build-A-Bear emotes, you know, where you can string a couple of them together to make something else. I really like that idea. And it turned out like way better than I expected, actually. I love it.